And we're back. I'm Jay with Guilty of Crime, and happy midweek to everybody. How you doing? Happy Wednesday. Come on in, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, get a membership if you can. Not only that, but Cool and Chris has been blessing us with gifted memberships after gifted memberships. So please say thank you if you received that membership. And even if you didn't, thank you, Cool and Chris. We definitely appreciate you. And coming in for two, coming in hot. I appreciate it so much. Deb's got her snack, blueberry bagel, cream cheese, and a nice cup of Irish breakfast tea. Nope, now just needs Jay. That's what I'm talking about. That is what I am talking about. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Today is a big day. There's a lot today to go over, and I'm so glad to be going over it with you. And just minutes ago, and oh boy, I don't know if it was the universe or if it was just Deception Detective saying, hey, there's a new video out there. In my title, my video says Inside the Nancy Guthrie home, blood found, Sheriff caught more lies, tracks, new suspects, and Savannah in her agony, right? I don't know exact words about the agony, but then Deception Detective came and he blessed us with a video and a breakdown. And guys, I gotta tell you, and it's not because I like Deception Detective, because I do. I love his skills. However, when I watch a video like that and I couldn't have said it better, I'm excited. I'm excited because every time I present this case to you guys, I keep coming back full circle. It doesn't matter if I look at the Amazon guy. It doesn't matter if I look at the band members. It doesn't matter who I look at, guys. It goes full circle, and you'll see what I mean as I get to it. So everybody, come on in. I'll say hello. I don't want to start the very second because I don't want you guys to miss a minute. Patricia NY is throwing us a party in Vegas. Crime Con 2026, May 29th through the 31st. We're having a party at the Bellagio on the 30th, starting at 6:30 until you pass out. I assume, right? Who am I to tell you what time you stop? How's everybody doing today? Deb's back with their snack. Mo, naturally, Trista, happy Wednesday. I love the positivity in the house. True Crime Files, Kathy. I saw an old Inside Nancy's home that they did a while back on Making a Bed, and so did I. Did you send that to me? And Mama Pearl's in the house. My girl, Tiff. By the way, speaking of my girl, Tiff, she does such a great job at everything, really. Let's be real. But she does our merch. And it's just fantastic. I can't get enough of her merch. It's all over my house. My mom has it. I have it. We're wearing it. We're giving it away. And today, if we get to the goal, and maybe even if not, maybe we'll see what happens. But we're going to be giving this out because what is coming up more important than Easter? Well, a Guilty of Crime Easter. Why would it be anything different? Anyhow, guys, we're going to give that away at the end of the show. Super cute, and it's available on our website. Everything my girl Tiff produces is quality, but it's not that expensive. And maybe because I live in San Jose, I'm used to double the price, but I assure you, great quality, and yeah, just great job, Tiff. Great job, everything you do. And by the way, she puts our collages together, helps me organize my thoughts. And I know that's hard to do, Tiff, because my thoughts are not easy to organize. I can't even organize my own thoughts. They're all over the place. All right, guys, let me say hello. Jojo GP, Sadie's mama, much love. Pat, Leland, cute. Oh, we have so many things on the Guilty of Crime website. Patricia, cheeky. It's adorable, right? I wanted to jack that for myself. I was like, baby Guilty needs that. And I'm like, I can order another one. Chris is even starting us off with the choo choo. Thank you, my friend. I hope you're coming to Vegas. You better come to Vegas. Just kidding, but you really should come to Vegas. Yeah, you could use a Tiff in your world too. Hey, if you're getting merch done, anybody that needs merch done, go to Tiff. Hey, she does a great job. That's all I got to say about that. but she's not going to help you with research because she's mine. She belongs to me. You see that name, My Girl Tiff? That's me she's talking about. Okay, just kidding. But anyway, all right, Carrie, how you doing? Good to see you. Wolfpack's in the house. What's up, Krista, Karen? All right, I can ask Bellagio if we can get some discount group rates if people would book that. Yeah, go for it. We're bringing the RV, so we don't need a place to stay. We just need a place to go hang out during the day. All right. Edith, what is up? She just gifted a Guilty of Crime membership. She says, Jay, stop talking and let's get this party started. Cindy, how are you? Lady for Justice, what's up? It's always a pleasure, Wolfpack and Velvet Unicorn. Okay, we're still looking for this guy, and theories are flying, okay? Now, I'm going to go over everything that my title says and more today. So we have a lot to cover. The clown sheriff, Nanos, is a clown. He lied again. It wasn't just years ago. He got caught in a lie just months ago, again and again and again, right? So that's not going to be the main topic because we know he's a clown and we know some of the stuff he did. So we're going to keep that to a minimal topic, but we're going to talk about Savannah and what her message really means. All right, ongoing things in the case as far as Sheriff Nanos, and that will be interjected. Also, Nancy Guthrie's blood was found on the other side in the front door. Don't think we're not talking about that. And there's a new lead that they want us to get viral. Why? Because they say it could be the clue that solves this case. We'll get to that as well. All right, so let's get going. Why don't we? This is what I'm going to start off with. Since I was going to do something a little bit different than this, we're going to start off this way because of dear old Deception Detective. So just quickly, guys, Savannah Guthrie speaks to Hoda Cobb. I'm not sure how to say that. I know that's one of her BFFs at the Today Show. First interview since her mom, Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Now, this is just a preview of it. I'm not going to play this because we're going to play it with Deception Detective. Everything he's putting down, I'm picking up, and I've been saying the same freaking things. All right, so what better to do than use your own show to get a message across? Savannah shared a message to anyone who may have information about her missing mother, saying someone needs to do the right thing. Right now, it's right on here. They're going to have like a 2-part interview. It hasn't come out yet. This is a 3-minute preview that's now broken up and spread into about 10 minutes. All right, so they're going to talk about they're talking about the first interview, and Savannah Guthrie's going to sit down with Hoda for her first interview, and they're just talking about they're going to go from day one, right? Nancy Guthrie's been missing, 84 years old, 53 days, overnight on January 31st. We'll look at the preview, the agony, the terror, the agony. All right, Savannah's full interview is going to be on Thursday, March 26th, and Friday, March 27th. Then Friday, we're going to also do a collab with Mr. Mab and Mrs. Mab. Now, Savannah's opening up for the first time about the agony of her mother's abduction in an interview on the Today Show. All right, in the excerpt of the upcoming interview aired on today, March 25th, co-anchor shared an emotional talk with Hoda, how she wakes up every night imagining her mother's terror following the disappearance. All right, so we know what's going on. You guys probably have already seen that, and it's old news to you. You're like, all right, Jay, we're good. We've been watching that. We've seen it. We got it. All right, so let's get into it. MM Clark, I hope you're feeling better. How you doing? Molly, is it Mally? All right. Hid Kari by accident. I didn't know how to fix it. What? Oh, you hid Carrie? You timed Carrie out. She's probably blowing up my phone right now. Jay, what happened? No, it was you that. I'm just kidding, Carrie. You would never text me and say that. All right. Jacqueline, good to see you. Now, listen, you think that interview was heartbreaking? Well, listen up. Not only are you going to think it's heartbreaking now, but you're going to see the veil being lifted, in my opinion, from what this interview really means. All right. Is everybody ready? I've been talking for 10 minutes. I don't want you to miss it, but if you do, you're going to have to go back. Now, I can't even begin to imagine what they're going through, nor do I want to. You say it will be a year on Sunday since mom passed away. Losing your mom is a horrible pain. I'm so sorry for you. Prayers for you. I don't want to imagine it. That's all I can say. All right. My mama Pearl is here in the house, and one day it's going to come. But do I want to think about it? No. If someone kidnaps her, however, I will be out there, boots on the ground with an automatic rifle. All right. Just saying. Anyhow, could you imagine having every morbid scenario? Oh, God, Wolfpack. And just wait. Every morbid scenario actually circles right around that family. That sucks. All right, let's get into it. Thank you, Mr. Deception Detective. We love you. You guys go to his channel, like, subscribe, share, buy his deck of cards, all of that. Show him the love. All right, show him all the love that he deserves. Hit that like button, get him in the algorithm. He's got a bunch of subs, 207,000 subs. He's doing all right, but he can do better. All right, let's get into it, guys.
Agony. Yeah. We are in agony. It is unbearable. And to think of what she went through. I wake up every night, in the middle of the night, every night. And in the darkness, I imagine her terror.
That's a clip from Savannah Guthrie's brand new Today Show interview, and in it, she's doing something you should never, ever do, especially in a missing persons case. Worst of all, she's been doing it for weeks, and so has Sheriff Nanos.
And I love that he's saying this because it didn't even bring me to the whole Sheriff Nanos point, but it did bring me to, what is this message trying to convey? Every other message has had a purpose. This message has a purpose, and we're going to tell you what it is in our opinion now. Trigger warning if you need it. It's not one of the shows that, like yesterday, was hard. This is a lot easier because Nancy Guthrie is still out there. We haven't found her, and we really don't know if she's alive or not.
Today's video, let's break it down. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation. So if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For early access to new videos, over 60 exclusive videos, and other cool perks, consider becoming a channel member. Link in description. As I've said many times on the channel, you should never defend someone who won't defend themselves. Often people who go into hiding or stay silent have a good reason, and it's rarely because they have an airtight alibi. In other words, putting your neck on the line for someone who won't even lift a finger in their own defense doesn't just set you up for embarrassment if you're wrong. It also stifles the probing, interrogation.
Now remember, Lori Vallow, I'm going to bring it back to Lori Vallow because this is in Arizona. Lori Vallow's family heavily backed her up until they found JJ and Tylee buried in her new husband's backyard. And then from there, it spiraled. Her sister was like, I can't believe it. I backed you up. I'm so embarrassed. And then she had to make sure the media knew that she's no longer on Lori Vallow team. All right. So this is what I've been saying since day one. People don't hide their face when they're looking for someone. People don't hide when they want to be seen. People hide when they don't want to be seen. And in the absence of words means a lot. Just take a listen sometimes to what people don't say, and it gives you a whole bunch more. All right, let's go.
And speculation required to get to the truth. No matter how much faith you have in someone or how much you believe in their innocence, unless they can provide proof or at the very least a reliable denial, your best bet is to just simply keep an open mind. Don't speak for them and don't put words into their mouth. Now, if you haven't seen my earlier videos in this series, you might not know who I think Savannah is defending in this interview, but don't worry, it'll become clear as soon as we start watching. So without further ado, let's dive in.
We're going to start with something that is very personal. It has now been 53 days since Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home in the middle of the night. Hoda, yesterday, you got the chance to spend some time with our girl. You sat down with Savannah, her first interview since her mother's disappearance.
Yeah, Craig, Al, and Carson, as you can imagine, it was a really emotional conversation. We're going to have the whole thing for you tomorrow and Friday. But first, we did want to bring you one of the moments from the interview where Savannah shared a message to anybody who may have information about Nancy.
Someone needs to do the right thing.
Did everybody already see this? Just let me know in chat. Chat's kind of stalled, but hey, we're all good. Let's keep it rolling because we do have a lot to go over today. We got that clown sheriff, the blood found, new suspects, tracks, and a whole bunch more. So let me know if you guys already saw the 3.5 minute video. Just throw one in chat while we're watching this.
We are in agony.
Yeah.
We are in agony. It is unbearable.
If you've been following my analysis of this case, you'll know I've pointed this out a lot, but Savannah is always speaking on behalf of herself and her siblings. Even in a one-on-one sit-down interview with Hoda, she has to shoehorn in her siblings' feelings. We are in agony. Now, does this mean she knows they're guilty or thinks they're guilty? Not necessarily, but it does suggest she's very interested in convincing us that they aren't. After all, when Hoda asked her how she's doing, she didn't feel the need to also tell us how her husband's doing or how her children are doing, which would at least make sense since they're children. She only felt the need, it seems, to make sure that we knew her siblings were in agony, which maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. I wouldn't know, since they both stopped making public pleas on their mother's behalf weeks ago. And even in the videos they did appear in early on, which we analyzed, they didn't really have much to say. Did they even retweet or share the $1 million reward Savannah put up for information about their mother? I don't know. Remember,
We do know because we haven't seen any of that, and it would come out in the news and it would come out had we seen it. Now, Annie and Tommaso have only hidden their faces and veiled themselves with Savannah. Okay, that's it. That's all. That's the only thing they've done. We went over that yesterday. That's all they've done thus far is hide out.
in statement analysis, whenever people feel the need to convince you of the obvious, it's a red flag because the obvious is usually just taken for granted. Their mother has been kidnapped. I expect them all to be sad. So the fact that Savannah feels the need to constantly reiterate to us just how sad they are is suspicious. Now, of course, there might be some other reason Savannah is constantly speaking on their behalf, and I'll cover that in a moment because this next clip...
Now, he's not talking about suspicious of Savannah. He's talking about the way that she's trying to shield her family from something that they should not be shielded from. They should be out there also expressing their sadness of loss and looking. Now, I'm not sure how to even say your name. I'm going to call you Lena. But listen here. Someone is involved in law enforcement, and I'll tell you who. Sheriff Nanos. Even if he's not directly related, he's related to the mess in this case that he's made. The fact that he was able to clear the family within minutes of him probably getting a phone call from Savannah and all the other stuff that we're going to see that he did today. Yeah, I would say law enforcement is involved in this as well. I agree. That's part of the reason why we do not have anything in this case, because the person that was leading has done a bunch of dirty deeds.
Actually provide some context. So let's keep listening.
We are in agony.
Yeah.
We are in agony. It is unbearable.
Yeah.
And to think of what she went through. I wake up every night, in the middle of the night, every night. And in the darkness, I imagine her terror. And it is unthinkable, but those thoughts demand to be thought.
Yeah.
And I will not hide my face.
Now, that's one of, I don't know if that's her actual best friend, but they do talk about them being BFFs, and I'm sure they mean it. They've been working on the show forever together, and you can see how she's also tearing up. Now, I can flash a picture for you, or you can remember just yesterday seeing Annie and Tommaso literally hiding their faces. Do you think that there was no pun intended in that? I assure you that that was not a mistake. Okay? I will not hide my face.
Yeah.
And I will not hide my face. That she needs to come home now.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I mean,
How are you?
I'm okay. I mean, there is a desperation and also a steeliness about Savannah. I mean, she's hoping that somebody, whoever this person is, will see something and say something.
I agree that Savannah is hoping someone will see something and say something, just as long as it has nothing to do with her sister Annie Guthrie or Annie's husband Tommaso Cioni. And frankly, that's totally understandable and wouldn't even be a problem if it weren't for the fact that Sheriff Nanos, the lead investigator in the case, feels the same way. Just like Savannah, he's publicly defended both of them despite the fact that there's no evidence.
Now, listen, I don't think that's any kind of coincidence. I think that Sheriff Nanos, like I said, lines his pocket with everybody else's money, and he does favors for those that favor him financially. Otherwise, he wouldn't be driving a $80,000 car, have other cars, be at the gym more than he's working. I assure you. And when you see the discussion today about what he's actually done just in the recent months, not years ago, then you'll realize not only did he botch the beginning of the first most important 48 hours, but he did this, I believe, as a favor to the Guthrie family. They have high influence. The moment Savannah felt attacked and her family felt attacked, you best believe she talked to Sheriff Nanos and said, clear this up. We can't have people going to their house and calling them killers. It's my sister. And rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Evidence to prove that they're innocent, at least none that I'm aware of. They haven't even made any public denials, despite the intense online speculation about both of them, especially Tommaso. And it's not like that would be in vain. You might recall just a few weeks ago, Luke Daly wasn't just the police's top suspect in this case, he was also the internet's top suspect. Then he went on TV, denied being Porch Guy, and the speculation died down almost immediately. I made an entire video about it, and I found his denial to be imperfect, but reliable. Basically, what I'm saying is I think Savannah and Sheriff Nanos are both suffering from cognitive dissonance about the possibility of the family being involved. For their own reasons, neither one of them wants to believe it, so they're just dismissing any evidence that might suggest it and lashing out at.
Now, you got to correlate the two of Sheriff Nanos and Savannah Guthrie, right? You got to know that this guy is shady, and this is why everybody wants him out of office, because he lines his pockets with money of others, and he doesn't do the right things. He does the things that are right for him, to make him comfortable, to make him not have backlash, to make him have more influence, let someone influence him. Okay, so this is not by coincidence that he has cognitive dissonance. It's all in the plan. It's all part of what he's supposed to do.
Any people who might suggest it. And if it turns out that Tommaso Cioni is the person who dropped Nancy off at home that night, they're also suppressing it. And by the way, if I had to bet, I would bet that he is the person who dropped Nancy off that night. After all, if it were an Uber driver, we would have already heard about their arrest by now. All that said, I think there is a little bit of good news to look forward to. I think Savannah's word choice in that last clip shows that some cracks are forming in her self-delusion about her family. Specifically, I liked when she said that the thoughts she needs to think in order to solve this case are unthinkable, and that she's not going to hide her face, which is something that both Tommaso and Annie have literally done since early on in the investigation.
Now, I did just like a Google search, and everywhere it came up of them hiding their faces. And I don't know why, because why would you do that when you want your mother to come home? You're the advocate that's 10 miles away, right? Why do this? And tell me that it's not a coincidence that Savannah's saying that she wouldn't hide her face. This is on the front cover of the Daily Mail, and it's everywhere. All you got to do is Google Annie and Tommaso, and they're hiding. Every freaking clickbait channel is clickbaiting us with, guess who did this? Annie and Tommaso. And then you get into, you're like, oh, it's AI. They just put this garbage together. That didn't happen. But that's the narrative, because look at what they're doing. They're literally hiding their face. Do you think Savannah said that by coincidence? I think not. All right, let's continue.
Specifically, I think both of those are examples of leakage, but I'm not going to break down exactly why just yet. So stick with me because there's one more example I want to get to. So let's keep listening.
And as you'll see in the coming days, she talks about so many things. She talks about the investigation. She talks about her faith, and she talks about how she's getting through. That was one portion there. And in the next portion, you'll see how she talks about how God's holding her hand. So there, and she also will describe what's been happening here. But I was sort of marveling that she was able to sit there with an outfit on, have a conversation, and also have just direct thoughts about what she sees going forward. So
gut-wrenching to watch somebody you love so much be.
Now, listen, there's not a lot of rumors, guys. There's not a lot of rumors when it comes to the sheriff. It's real. The recall is real. The next thing that we're going to talk about is that clown Barney Fife Sheriff Nanos and what he's been doing. It's real, and they are doing it, and you do have to be in Pima County. We're going to break that down next. This was too good to be true not to play this clip first, because every single episode that I've done on this case, it just circles me right back to the same people. Annie Tommaso and those band members and the connections between them. Now I'm hearing on day 53 that they may think that there's anywhere between 3 and 5 suspects. All right, let's continue. That's a lot.
Still, post 50 days of this tragic event, in this tortured limbo state.
that's exactly where it is.
Yet to still show so much resilience and grace among it all.
Yeah.
But
And she will, she explains too, and you'll hear tomorrow, it's like no one's stealing her joy.
Right.
So you'll see both sides of that. So we're
Knowing
going
that her faith is so strong, that's got to be.
that's what sustained her out.
Now, listen, if that comes across as anything else for anybody else on my channel, get that out of your mind, because in my opinion, Savannah has absolutely nothing to do with this case as far as getting her mom kidnapped or whatever the hell went wrong in that house. I think it was a robbery gone wrong. I do not think it was supposed to be a kidnapping. I do not think it was supposed to be any of this, but it was a kidnap or a robbery gone wrong. And the most amount of money they could get, since they botched it, would be to take her and ask for a ransom, right? And don't forget, we're getting tired of waiting for that Bitcoin, Tommaso, or for the what did he call it? Did he call it Bitcoin? Why send that to Tommaso?
True.
That's
but
it.
no closer to closure. It's been so long to see our friends still so tortured this far after this horrible event.
And her brother and sister too.
Yeah.
But to her point, our only hope right now is that someone who is watching, someone who is listening, does the right thing.
But do you notice how he said the brother and sister too? And you could see the bubble over his head, the thinking bubble. He completely glazed over that and moved forward. Did you guys notice that? You would normally say something like, oh yeah, the brother and the sister too. It means we're no closer to closure. And you got to feel bad for the brother and sister too, right? Just completely went over it. Didn't want to answer that. And like I said, you can tell sometimes what people aren't saying is it's more powerful than what they're saying. Learn to have that quietness around you and pay attention, and you'll see it. All right, let's continue. Listen again, how he just didn't even say anything. And what I wanted to say also is think of Ethan Chapin. Ethan Chapin's family also, and that's the Idaho 4, one of the Idaho 4 kids that were killed in the murder. All right. Ethan Chapin's family is so much into their faith that they're able to continue having a relationship with their kids and living, because you can't just lay down and die when something bad happens around you. You got to stand up and you got to move forward. All right. So that's what I attribute to Savannah Guthrie in her position. And she has a position of being in the public, being in the media to say all this.
Of that. So
Knowing that her faith is so strong, that's got to be.
That's what sustained her out.
Her through.
mean, that's
But
it.
no closer to closure. It's been so
Yeah,
long to
that's
see
the
our
thing.
friends still so tortured this far
No
after this
answers.
horrible event.
And her brother and sister too.
Yeah.
But to her point, our only hope right now.
Did you hear that? I know he just shut him down. They're having a conversation. That's what they do in the morning around that table. They have conversations and they're all getting into it, talking about poor Savannah. And can you imagine? And she's getting teary eyed. And he said, yeah, and the brother and sister too. And he literally put his hand out and shut him up. Yeah. But to your point, anybody else catch that? I hope you guys caught that because he totally just rejected that idea at all about them. What does he know? What is he thinking? That is weird. I don't think it's weird, but he shut him down real fast. I haven't seen that. I didn't catch that before.
Is that someone who is watching, someone who is listening,
Yeah.
does the right thing, picks up the phone. Picks up the phone.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to hear a lot more from Savannah in her own words tomorrow and Friday right here on Today.
No one's going to steal Savannah's.
Yo, Adam, Patriot Pride Official. What's up? Drop your link down there, buddy. Mab, drop your link. I see y'all are communicating in my chat. He says, Mab, give me a call. And Mab says, I'm calling you now, Adam. Are you guys good? You guys all hooked up now? Okay. Can we move on? Everybody good? You got your coffee? You got your phone? You guys good? Okay, let's go. Oh, how I love working with other creators, especially creators like Mab and creators like, I think, Patriot Pride, how they're going to be. They're men. They're men with big ideas, and you can tease the shit out of them, and they never get upset. Right, Mab? Right, Adam? Right. Let's go. Love it. Love it. We're going to collab on Friday. Remember that, guys.
Joy. I think that right there is an admission that Savannah's trying to look at everything in the most positive light possible, including her relatives. And unfortunately, when someone's been missing for months and there's no good leads, you really have to look at everyone as a suspect, not as a source of joy. Ever since my first video about this case, I've said I think this was an inside job either by a family member or a friend of the family because the ransom demand seemed to be an afterthought. In an actual kidnap for ransom, the ransom itself is the main point of the entire crime. So there should have been a calling card or a set of instructions right there on the property, not something that needs to be emailed to TMZ. And that's why I'm hoping Savannah's statements from that other clip are
I mean, don't you think the email to TMZ, does anyone else think that that was just a complete distraction from the actual crime? It's got to be. And if you don't think it, I'm telling you now, that ransom letter to TMZ and then the back-to-back and all the other letters that came in may have also been somebody or a group that was trying to, earn a penny off of it and get in on it. However, what's the best way you can distract the entire world away from a case? Send a ransom note out to the person that everybody knows is their mother. Everybody's saying Savannah Guthrie's mom missing. Finally, we're saying, say her name, Nancy Guthrie. She's not just Savannah's mom. She's Nancy Guthrie. It started out like that in the beginning.
Examples of leakage, that she actually is open to at least entertaining the possibility that she might not have been thinking about this case correctly, which might imply that she's at least open to changing her mind about looking at everything as a source of joy and starting to be more skeptical. And just in case you're new here, I've put the leakage card from my deception deck, my 52 favorite rules for spotting lies and manipulation, on your screen. You can read the full rule, but the gist is that people often reveal the truth through their word choice, whether they recognize it or not. And that's because we always speak based on everything we know, whether we're trying to lie to someone else or we're just lying to ourselves. Anyway, this interview is going to premiere in 2 parts.
Now, pay attention to that in your real life as well. And I do want to answer you. I don't know why chat is just bogging down. I really want to interact with you guys more, but my chat is like, it's doing nothing. It's almost stagnant. Now, let me kind of clear this up for everybody in case you saw that. I had that posted. FBI didn't need to investigate Adult Protective Services, in my opinion, or that card, because what I was told and what many people were told was that card from Adult Protective Services was just something that you have to cross your T's and dot your I's when a case like this happens. They didn't know if she was going to be kidnapped because of kidnapping. A letter never even came out until a day later. So they wanted to make sure they did their due diligence by dropping a card on that door. And I believe that card was dropped after all of this happened. It wasn't like they put it on the door and then everyone says, oh my God, Adult Protective Services, why were they here for her? What happened? It wasn't like that at all. It was more like, what happened to Nancy Guthrie? She never showed up for her church thing. And now we go over there and there's a card on the door. All right. Two different scenarios completely.
Parts, if you want me to break it down, let me know by liking, commenting, and sharing. And yes, those will be longer videos. If you want to watch my analysis of Luke Daly's denial, check the video on the end screen. And you'll also find my entire Nancy Guthrie playlist there if you want to binge watch the whole thing. Until next time, stay true.
If you want to see him with his shirt off, go to his... Just kidding. Just kidding, Deception Detective. That was a joke for you ladies that think he's the eye candy. All right, we're going to jump right into this right now about the controversy of Sheriff Nanos. We have to go into this hard right now.
Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos targeted today at the County Board of Supervisors meeting. Nanos is accused of misrepresenting his work history on his resume, among other issues, sparking concern from at least one county supervisor.
Now, listen, it was only that at first. So we want to say a prayer that he resigns. He gets so embarrassed that he resigns himself. Okay, because it does have to be the signatures from Pima County. We can't do it. Change.org can't do it. They want him out unanimously.
This morning, in the call to the audience, the head of a local sheriff's deputies association saying the group took a vote of no confidence in the Pima County sheriff. News for Tucson's Eric Fink is covering this for us today and joins us live downtown with the latest on what happened. Eric.
So, Sean, supervisors went behind closed doors in executive session today for nearly 3 hours. When the public meeting resumed about 45 minutes ago, they did get to the discussion about Sheriff Chris Nanos. Supervisor Matt Hines.
And you're going to want to hear this because you probably haven't heard this yet. And by the way, stop making me laugh, dude. There's somebody in chat that just made me laugh and said, dude's got spaghetti arms. I'm like, bro, don't make me laugh. There's nothing funny about that, but it is funny to... Yeah, Didi's Beauty and Brains, he's winning. Patriot Pride is back in chat. It was this dude. Captured Dandy says, dude has spaghetti arms. I was laughing at that, not the situation, all right? You guys know how we do. We got to have a little bit of fun because it's a lot of hard topics. That was the comment of the day.
Put that item on the agenda after his concerns concerning Sheriff Nanos misrepresenting dates on his work history. And simply put, Supervisor Hines says that no elected official in Pima County can lie on a job application. Earlier this month, the Arizona Republic uncovered Sheriff Chris Nanos had the wrong dates on his resume as to when he worked as a police officer with the El Paso Police Department. The resume had Nanos working at the El Paso PD until 1984, until he took a job with PCSD, when in fact he resigned from that police department in 1982 instead of being fired.
Instead of being fired. And does everybody know for what? Now, this is bigger than I thought. When we talk about what he was fired for and his resignation, he would have never gotten that job had he not lied. And then he just lied recently as well. He's lied several times. Falconess Australia, hello to you. Clar, big hug. Calgal, did Nanos and Nancy know each other? Listen, Calgal, I am absolutely sure if they didn't know each other before, that they know each other now. And Savannah has influence over it, but I don't know. Nancy's been there since 1975, and this guy has been there since, right? These are one of the towns that everybody knows everybody. You don't live there from 1975 until 2026 and not know your local sheriff. All right, just saying. All right, let's continue. Listen to what he did. This is what the controversy is. It's not because he lied on his, not necessarily because he lied on his resume. It's because he resigned and what he was hiding behind. Listen up.
Asked Sheriff Nanos if he was going to be at the meeting today. He told me he wasn't invited. Now, last week, the Pima County Deputies Organization voted no confidence in Sheriff Nanos. The president of that organization, Aaron Cross, says Nanos has lost the faith of his deputies and the community. Former GOP Congressional District 7 candidate Daniel Gutierrez is now leading a recall effort against the sheriff. More than 122,000 valid signatures from registered Pima County voters are needed.
Okay, so there you are. You have to be a registered voter of Pima County, and you need 120,000, right, in 120 days. All right, we got that cleared up. At first, somebody was sharing the change.org. I shared it. It was incorrect. Thank you to the person that corrected me, even though they weren't very nice. They just said, that's the wrong one. Well, instead of saying that, why don't you give me the right one? All right, now we know I'm the right one.
By July 10th to put that recall on the ballot in March of next year. You'll hear from a resident working to gather signatures for the recall, and then from Sheriff Nanos, who says his 2 election victories in this county prove that this community has trust in his ability to lead.
Sheriff Nanos is currently in the process of being recalled. As a person helping to collect signatures, the mere mention of his name gets the clipboard snatched out of my hands, followed by, "Give me that, this guy has got to go." The sheriff's well-documented history with the El Paso Police Department should have never granted him employment in the Pima County correctional system, much less the climb to sheriff.
You just know you're going to have people out there who don't like you. And
this guy, man, remember, he promised the citizens to get a decline. He's going to make crime lessen in that area. And in fact, it's gone up by 15%. This guy's just all word salad. Now, I see you asking, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but Lena, maybe? My chat's not coming through on the other side. Lena's Mar. If you go back to my episode 1, 2, and 3, you'll find out in what ways I think Andy and Tommaso are involved. I'm just going to give you one big fat reason is because those band members directly messaged Annie and Tommaso. We're getting tired of waiting, dude. Where is the crypto? Right? Then you look at who's taking care of them, who's taking care of Nancy, who was the last person to see her alive. Service people, smurvis people. That's what I say. But you still got to look at him. Let's listen to his word salad.
That's okay. I can't win everybody over. But I also have some comfort in knowing that 2 elections now I've won out by receiving 250,000 votes each time. So I have some supporters out there, I believe. I think people that I know that know me, they know what I'm about, and they know who I am as a human being, and they know who.
We know what you're about, and as a human being, you're a liar, and you line your pockets with other people's money to get what you want, and for them to get what they want. Come on, Sheriff, we know
who I am as a sheriff.
A shitty sheriff?
So just a few minutes ago, the board voted on a motion to get outside legal counsel, outside lawyers, outside of the county, to get some reports from Sheriff Nanos in the next couple of weeks. And then those lawyers are expected to come back and talk to the board about what they found on April the 7th. So we'll continue to follow this for you. And coming up at 5 o'clock, you will hear from Supervisor Matt Hines. Live downtown.
All right, so this guy's a clown. We know it. I've got one more clip because we need to have this discussion. And then this discussion is going to continue throughout our discussions tonight because part of the Nancy Guthrie investigation is Sheriff Nanos. He's actually the man in charge in the very beginning, and he didn't want to hand over any of his power to the FBI because he was having a contest who has the bigger D. Remember? Remember. All right. Say sheriff 3 times fast. Say fast 3 times. Sheriff, sheriff, sheriff. Sheriff. Sheriff Nanos. Indy Isha, my girl, Jay. Was he in El Paso County or El Paso, Texas? Colorado or Texas? Huh? That's a good question, Indy. Let me look that up. We're going to get to that right now because we're doing clown face. I don't know. I'm assuming it was Colorado only because they didn't know, they didn't correlate the two. You would think they would tell the new, their new boss, hey, like, yeah, he didn't do so well here. But when you're out in Colorado versus Texas, I mean, I'm just taking my best guess. And Pat, I'm going to take Pat's answer as Texas. So they did not cross their T's and dot their I's. And now we're in a world of trouble. Lolo, hello there. All right, let's continue. This guy's a clown. He's a clown, period. He needs to be out of office.
Nearly 8 weeks after Nancy Guthrie went missing, the Arizona sheriff leading the search is coming under fire from some of his peers in law enforcement. The deputies union that represents the Pima County Sheriff's Department voted no confidence in Chris
As an
Nanos this
idiot.
week. And according to the union, nearly half of the deputies under his charge want him to resign. Senior national correspondent Brian Inton has been following the Guthrie search from day one. Joins us live. So Brian, what does this pressure on Nanos mean for the investigation?
Yeah, I mean, look, this no confidence vote is really interesting, Nicole. I mean, you said it. Actually, every single deputy in the union, which is 300 deputies, voted that they do not have confidence in the sheriff right.
Did you hear that? This is more than just a few haters, okay? You're right. He's got egg on his face and he's a clown. Every person unanimously voted against him. That is not a situation. Like, he just lied to us right now. In that interview we saw at his desk, where we're going to have some haters, but the others know what kind of sheriff and person I am. No, sir. No. Hence why you weren't invited to that meeting today, buddy. They all want you out. Just resign already. Nobody wants you in there.
Now there's issues that go back years, but you know, the Nancy Guthrie investigation also comes into play. There are allegations that mistakes were made, that he cleared the crime scene too soon, and also that he didn't call in the FBI soon enough. Look, he says he did not make any mistakes. He stands by all of the decisions that he's made. Meanwhile, Savannah Guthrie has now given her first interview to the Today Show, which is no surprise. That's obviously where she works, into Hoda, which is one of her best friends, and is opening up about what she has gone through. And it's just heart-wrenching, Nicole. I mean, to listen to this, she talks about waking up in the middle of the night thinking about her mom being taken. Listen to a little of what she said, Nicole.
Now we just did this, so, and we're gonna hear it more. So I'm not gonna do this again. Just imagine her terror. I will play it at some point in entirety, but there's no reason when we have lots of new information to get out there. All right, how's everybody doing?
It's just awful to think about, Nicole. All of us who have followed this case from the beginning, you think about the fact that she was just taken in the night, and now 53 days later, we still don't know where she is. We still don't know who took her. We still don't know the motive. And Savannah, NBC News is saying she's going to talk more. She's going to talk more about the investigation in the coming days as they release more of this interview, which it'll be interesting to see. You know, I don't know if she'll go down this path, but it'll be interesting to see what she thinks about how the investigation has been handled so far.
I don't think she's going to completely be honest with herself, and I doubt the interview is going to call out Annie and Tommaso whatsoever. I do hope that she doesn't go on that big platform and put words in their mouth. If they're going to speak, let them speak. So there are no new suspects where the blood found. Oh, we're going to get into all of that, Deb. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. We're going to look at the service workers today. We're going to look at another suspect. And again, every time I do that, Deb and Guilty of Crime fam, it keeps coming back to 2 people, then 3 people, then 4, then 5. The same people that we thought from the beginning. Yes, Nanos is a little man complex. You guys do me a favor, hit that like button. I am going to gift some membership, so make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment. Hey is a comment. Anything's a comment. Get yourself a membership. We only hit one of our goals, one part of our goal. But if you guys want to help hit the goal today, then we'll do a giveaway at the end of the show. Appreciate you all. Let's continue.
Nicole.
Absolutely. So, Brian, you kind of just went through that list of all the things that we don't know at this point. We don't know where Nancy is. We don't know who took her, et cetera, et cetera. Is this still considered an active investigation, though?
Now, listen, we don't know because we are not the FBI and we are not the investigators. As this case gets cold on the media, it warms up behind the scenes. Like I said, not yesterday, but the day before, this is not, I repeat, this is not a cold case. They are only not talking because FBI doesn't do that. FBI doesn't need to tell you every time they found a new suspect, every time they found a footprint, every time Sheriff Nanos farted in his car. They just don't do that. Jammy Dial, thank you so much for the $2 towards our goal. All right. Rhonda's in the house. Cynthia's in the house. David is way guilty's in the house. Found you from Flojo TV. What's up, David is way guilty. I like Flojo. Go sign up to Flojo, guys. If one of y'all can drop his link, he's got a buddy in here. Let's do it. We support all good creators. Let's go. Get the goal, Jay. Love the mods. Chris, are you coming to Vegas? Tell me you're coming to Vegas. Let's continue. Flojo TV. Man, we got some good creators around here, don't we? All right. Thank you, Tanya, for coming in with the $2. You're getting us towards our goal. Don't worry, Deb. We're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about new suspects, blood found, sheriff caught in more lies, tracks, and all that. All right? Don't you worry. Get your snack, relax. Tell Chris I say hi. All right? Let's continue.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's still, and I've been in touch with people every single day. I mean, there's a whole task force that's set up. There's people that their only job within the FBI and within the local sheriff's office is continuing to investigate this case. There's roughly 20 people working on it day and night. So there's a lot of boots on the ground still. I don't consider it a cold case just because I know they're still working new leads. And there's, the DNA, by the way, it's now gone to 2 different labs where they continue to analyze it and try. There's the possibility of genetic genealogy, which is what cracked the Koberger case. So I don't think it's cold. It's still active.
Nope, not at all,
bad
guys.
News, though, is from what I'm told, that there is no suspect still. And, that's just.
There's no named suspect, okay? That's all. That's it. That's all. Nancy Fleming, good to see ya. How you doing? Thank you, Karen, for the $2. Love the channel. And Jay, it looks like we're going to be giving something out at the end of the show. Terry, hello, Jay, and chat. First time here. Well, welcome, Terry, 1490 to the crime crew. Blessings to you as well. And say a prayer that Nancy Guthrie is brought home any way that she can be, okay? Say a prayer because faith does go far. Falconess Australia, you are in the future and you just sent a $2 super sticker or super chat. And I didn't want to miss you. Farquaw, I don't even know how to say that. Is it like Farquaw or Farquaw? I don't know. Thank you. Vicky, thank you. You guys are just killing it. You're like, Jay, stop talking about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then a bunch of gifted memberships. You guys rock. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and more thank you. All right, let's go.
It's got to be difficult. You see what Savannah's going through, living with that every single day.
Absolutely. All right, Brian Inton with the very latest on this ongoing search. Brian, thank you.
Thank you for watching.
All right, I noticed that nobody's really too worried about much of anything, and they're still calling in. There's a lot of calls into the JLR show, etc. And there's a lot of good theories out there, rightfully, people calling in. However, let's take a look at some of these things. All right, we're going to go to X real quick. I've been following a lot of these people on X. Chillinois. Let's start talking about the blood. All right, let's get into the blood. And then we're just going to go everything I said, blood, suspects, all that we're going to get into. So Nancy Guthrie's blood was also found on the other side of the front door. Right now, we also not only know that, but there's some new tracks that are there that are down that they're trying to figure out what it is, and more blood drops. Guys, she wasn't, in my opinion, and in the opinion of these fine folks, she was not dead in that house, guys. She was alive when they took her out of that house, okay? I don't think they wanted to take her out. I don't think that was supposed to be it, but something got messed up. Now, Nancy Guthrie's blood was found on the other side of the front door inside the home, according to Ashley Banfield's source. Now, the same source said again, the back door was wide open. On February 19th, I posed the question, which blue door was the entry point for the suspect? Picture below in the post of a screenshot I grabbed from Annie's Facebook before she locked it down. And remember that too. The band members shut their stuff down. Annie and Tommaso, they all disappeared from social media, right? It shows the blue door that I believe to be the most often used by people. Now, remember, this is Illinois. I did notice the drone footage taken after the incident here on the same door. The deadbolt looked to have been repaired at some point or added. This was before the locksmiths were there, but we learned yesterday that Nancy frequently left her back doors unlocked, according to her own family. Now, it's been 53 days, 50 plus days, that Nancy Guthrie has been gone. No suspects have been identified, and we have no description of a vehicle. Hope is alive for Nancy. All right, let's look at the door real quick and just get us started with this discussion. All right. So there's the door that we know, we all know and wonder and heard it was open, etc. Also, that will lead me to the shady locksmith in the area. But again, just because I introduce a new person into the equation and we talk it out, it doesn't mean that that's my hard theory. It just means it's a possibility. It's a possibility because anything's a possibility at this point because we know nothing. We really don't know much. All right. So 2 blue doors possibly led into Nancy's garage. We saw the gentleman from the locksmith and safe company there yesterday. This was February 19th, making entrance to the garage using the blue door where the floodlight was damaged. The other blue door, screenshot grab from family's Facebook in. So there you go. We're starting to see kind of what was happening there and the people that were moving about. There's one of the locksmith people that came, right? We're questioning the Amazon delivery, everything. Now there's that door that people said were left open. I'm glad they hid the face though, because we don't want to go there. All right. So good. There's a lot of things on X. Is it possible the suspect had access to the garage door? Nest cams viewing for 130 degree, possibly. We can go on and on, right? We can go on and on, but that's not what I'm focused on right now. What I am focused on is that blood. We're going to start it off with the blood just so that I could bring you to the suspect after this that a lot of people are thinking. Think about this. I just talked about a locksmith. I just read about locksmith people and people coming, and now they're looking at workers, etc., etc. Okay. So I'm only going to throw that into the mix so you guys can weigh it out yourself and say, oh, okay, well, she said this and that makes sense. That doesn't make sense, but you know what does make sense? Hey, whatever, right? It's your theory. So we're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about what they want to get viral. There's 2 leads that I'm going to show you today that you haven't heard of probably. All right. But first, we're going to go into this. I got to run and open the door real quick. I'm going to press play and I will be right back. Now, we are not watching any episodes in their entirety today at all. All right. None whatsoever. We are not going to just watch a video. We've got a lot. Jay Barker and The Price is Right. You won yourself a bunny for Easter. Guilty of crime. Let's go. All right, let's continue. Hey, I'm bringing that energy, baby. Bringing the energy. It's Wednesday, and I am keeping myself going. And you guys, too. I bet you think a lot of you are out there working, and you're like, Jay, come on. Lift us up. I think Savannah's aware that the deep state might be behind the kidnapping of her mother. I think there's a lot of harsh realities hitting her soon. Right? I'll be right back.
Family room? Was there a struggle out in the front hall? The kitchen? Where did this crime take place? However long this scumbag was in her home. Filthy scumbag infiltrating this innocent woman's home. Where did the crimes happen? Like, what happened in the home? And I have come to learn, I think you probably, if you follow me regularly, and thank you, that my source told me on day 3 that there was blood found inside the home. Okay. Second source of mine confirmed definitely blood inside the home. And that second source went further and told me that the deputies who'd arrived who thought they were looking for a missing woman. Maybe she wandered. An elderly woman didn't show up for her church event, and her family has called us. When the more skilled investigators arrived, they saw evidence that indicated they needed to call in a more skilled and experienced team like the homicide investigators, right? They saw, according to my source, the back door was wide open. My first source had told me that the back door was wide open. My second source told me back door's wide open. My episode yesterday, if you haven't seen it, told you which door we think it may have been based on
the fact that I'm going to say something way different because I did not watch all of these episodes. I summarized them so that I know what's happening. Jen's Gypsy said, Jay's gone. Does anyone know what to do? You watch the video. All right. I've been guilty of swiping right when I should have swiped left. Maybe Nancy did the same and didn't know Nanos was a no-no. That's so funny. Allie Kelly's working in Missouri and enjoying the live. You see, I'm keeping her going. Right? Right. Let's go.
Many data points that I have sort of amassed, and that
the best part about this episode, well, there's a lot of good parts about this, but I love the fact that she gets down and dirty in a minute and just lets the cussing go. Remember, this is Ashley Banfield, and this is Drop Dead Serious. This is her new own podcast. She is not accountable to law and crime anymore. I hope I still have a little bit of oil left in my engine in my 80s. We make bets when she'll come back. What's up, Crime Time Grime? Do you have a channel? Sounds like it.
She regularly left her back doors, plural, unlocked. There's a back door that goes into like a storage unit or storage part or a shed part of the house that could be part of the garage, but it doesn't look like it's part of the house.
I hope you're okay.
And then there is a back door that is right smack dab kind of in the middle of the house that goes into the back patio. And it is visible from the front door. If you come in the front door, you can kind of see that back door out to the back patio is right there. And if it's open, you can see it. And we were told there was blood in the house, but I could never find out where. Where did those investigators see it so that they knew there was something so dire that they had to bring in homicide investigators? And now I know. Now I know where the blood is inside the house. And it is a fascinating piece of data because it is right in the front entrance.
Right in the front entrance on the inside. And I don't want you all to lose faith that just because Sheriff Nanos said the family's cleared and Savannah said, don't look at my family, that Ashley Banfield's source wasn't absolutely spot on with what's happening. Remember, nothing's official, and everybody unanimously voted to kick Sheriff Nanos out. All right. What do you, Crime Time Grime? Just started videos again because I want this guy caught. Yeah, I'm obsessed with this case too. Trust me. I'm glad you're here. Drop your link. Go for it. All right, let's go.
Of the home. Front entrance, front hallway, whatever you want to call that front entrance. We don't have a perfect photograph of the inside of Nancy Guthrie's front entrance. We have a good photograph of what's off to the left, and it is a living room. As you look off to the left, there's a nice living room and a window behind you there and a fireplace and another window and a sliding glass door at the end. But if you're standing at the front entrance, you're looking to the left down the living room, and you're looking pretty much straight ahead to the sort of family room area with a fireplace and a nice big long window out the back of the home. And then off to the left of that, a door that is more than likely the door that the investigators saw open, because that's what you would see. Could you also see the sliders open way down?
And aren't you glad we just looked at that damn blue door and someone standing there? Because boy, if I had to just imagine this, well, I could see behind me. There's the house. I recognize the entrance, and I recognize where Nancy's room is. All right. Now, Moore says, just saying this out of my own theory, but what if the guy is a deacon or someone important in her church? Could be. Could be. I have nothing to go on to say that. Did anyone go in the guest house? Yes, they did. Do they go in the guest house now? We don't know, but there was somebody living in that guest house, and they're looking at them a second time. So I'm not sure what you mean if they're looking into it. Like, yeah, they definitely. I would hope that they've looked at that to make sure there's nothing back there that they don't need. I mean, I'm not sure what you're asking. Not enjoying work, but definitely enjoying the Dutch brothers coffee. All right.
Down the left in the living room, if those doors were left open, my source said back doors were routinely left open, not side sliders. There are 2 sliders that exist on the side of the house, right? You walk in the front door, look all the way down to the left. There's a sliding glass door out to a little patio. And then there's another sliding glass door that goes into another room, presumably the master bedroom, maybe Nancy Guthrie's bedroom.
Now that's a big house. And again, I'm not going to shame. I am not going to victim shame. And the victim in this case to me is the Guthries right now, specifically Savannah. Again, I don't know what Annie and Tommaso have going on, but that house was way too big and way out in the middle of nowhere for there not to have been better security. Ashley's pushing Nancy, kept the back door unlocked, pointing to a stranger and taking tomato out of it. That is how. No. This is let's continue, Rocco. She's not. She's actually doubling down on what she says and just discussing this case because we need to keep it out there. Otherwise, it will go dead and it will go cold if we stop looking at it. Just wait. Have you watched this episode yet?
And if you're confused at all between the difference between open and unlocked, let me explain. The investigators saw a back door wide open. That's the reporting I got.
Now, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I've been watching her the entire time, and she still stands on what her source told her and how she feels. You're going to hear in a minute when she starts cussing about it. She doesn't have a reason to back off of that. Nobody's going to sue her. You can't be sued. Nobody's been cleared. That was her source. Sheriff Nano's an idiot, period.
Not just unlocked, wide open. And the Guthrie kids told the police that Mrs. Guthrie routinely left her back doors unlocked. So those are the difference between unlocked and wide open.
Day 53, and we just found out the doors were unlocked the whole time. Doesn't that change the whole scenario? Wow. Just kidding. But seriously, I think the back door was unlocked because somebody was already back there. We saw the picture 2 weeks before or 10 days before, casing the house and then back again. Somebody, in my opinion, was already in that house and something went awry within that time. All right. Hey, can a mod drop true crime? Yes, they can.
As far as sliding glass doors go, they are towards the side of the house. And I was told back door wide open and back doors, plural, routinely left unlocked. I don't know about the sliding glass doors on the side of the house, way off to the left as you walk in the front door. I'm not sure if those were unlocked as well. Did this perpetrator get in through those? Maybe, possibly. I don't know. But the blood now in the front entrance of the home is a significant detail about.
And we're going to go into that next. I'm not watching the whole, this episode after in a little bit is like blood spatter expert giving you over amount of details that's not really connected to this case. So we're going to go into the blood and the prints of what they think to be wheels, etc., as well as 2 additional people of interest or suspects. Now, these guys are not suspects that law enforcement is named. Why? Because law enforcement right now is Sheriff Nanos. Sheriff Nanos is supposed to be the person that's the PR and lets everyone know. He's supposed to be the lead. And when he does terrible at it. That's why we know almost nothing. FBI is not going to come out and tell us what they're doing. And rightfully so. I'd be pissed if they did.
This crime just in the front entrance. Not in the bedroom, not in the kitchen, not in the living room, not in that family room. The front entrance has a pattern of blood that is the same as it is outside, and it goes over the threshold out the door. So imagine, if you will, standing in the front entrance of someone's home.
Now listen what she's saying carefully, because she's saying that her source, and she'll go into it, her source told her that the only blood that was there was on the other side of the door, that part of the inside and all the way out, and you'll see more blood droplets later. What she's saying is there was no blood or any weird disturbances or crime type of scenes that got rough in her room. You know how many people are like, I wonder if there was blood in her room. Maybe they killed her in the room and then carried her out. No, I don't think so. I think that's what we're trying to get at, is the only other blood that was in the house that would even be related to the blood outside was right inside on the other side of the front door.
And there's blood dripping, and you're walking out the door, and that blood dripping continues in the same pattern out to now the front entrance outside the home and the pathway that goes down the front walk towards the driveway. First, though, quick note from my sponsors: being on camera a lot means that having the right kind of makeup.
Okay, I don't use makeup, so
say
sorry.
hello, that's where the blood pattern is. And so I wondered, well, then what happened there? You know, what happened? And I have reached out to somebody who is really good at this and a lot better than I am.
And this is fantastic. We're going to listen a little bit of this, and then we're going to start to see a lot more things progressing. And again, I'm not changing my idea, but if you're in true crime or you're trying to help solve something, or even just on your own, it's not like I'm paid to do this, but this case is driving me insane. Every time I look at my phone with the breaking news, I'm thinking, man, did they find Nancy? Is she back? Did they find a body? Like it's kind of overshadowing everything else. So that's why we're here today on this case. There's so much. It doesn't mean that they are my theories, but they are credible theories. You'll see what I mean.
Dr. Peter Valentin. And I'm so glad that he joined me on this, because I really needed someone to sort of tell me not only about this new information about where the blood now is, crossing over the threshold of that front door, but also the shape of all the blood drops and the verticalness of them.
The verticalness.
And that thing that everybody thinks is a expiration pattern. And he's so much better at this than me and a whole bunch of folks on the internet, because he's got other theories about that expiration-like stain. Don't get too caught up on it being an expiring kind of stain. He's an associate professor. He's got a long title, so I have to read it. Sorry. Dr. Peter Valentin is an associate professor.
We'll listen for a minute. I don't care.
And actually took it out on his department too, who all said that he just tightened the noose around them as soon as I had reported from my sources. So he told News 4 Tucson that he has no regrets about decisions that he made early on.
Oh, this is fun. Okay, we have to. She's talking about Sheriff Nanos and just calling him out on a big fat lie. This part's great. We only got a couple more minutes on this, and then we're hopping into 2 new people of interest and possible suspects that are floating around. And no, Mab, none of those suspects are from you. The one that you're going to present on Friday will be that one. We'll leave it at that.
Defending his department's handling of the investigation. Look, he read a lot of his press because he knew exactly stuff that Brian Enton had reported. He went ahead and had a lot of us, right? He knew a lot of stuff that I reported. Boy, did he ever chew me out. Not by name, but it was when I broke all that news on day 3 that he got real mad and actually took it out on his department too.
She's talking about Sheriff Nanos being pissed about her breaking the news about Annie and Tommaso, and then getting a hair up his butt and deciding to clear the family when they're actually not cleared. Jitterbugs, late, but here. I'm glad now we can start. Oh God, I hope nothing graphic like that happened to her. Guys, I gotta tell you, first let's just say a quick prayer that Nancy Guthrie is brought home in this case does get solved. Secondly, that's horrible to think about. But even if that didn't happen and just the day-to-day living of somebody that kidnapped you and keeping you held without your medicine and you don't have hearing aids, what have you, whatever the circumstances, it's not going to be comfortable for her. And it's probably more of a nightmare for her to be alive sitting there while somebody's throwing a bucket at her to use the bathroom than it would be if she weren't alive anymore. So I'm just thinking of that way, and I don't want to be too graphic because that would be brutal. That would be brutal.
Who all said that he just tightened the noose around them as soon as I had reported from my sources. So he told News 4 Tucson that he has no regrets about decisions that he made early on, even as this case remains unsolved. Can I quote him? Here we go.
Yeah, quote him, please.
Look, I have no regrets about my team and their efforts. I don't regret we let the crime scene go too soon or any of that. Do what now? Because I distinctly remember, like on day, I don't know, 20 or maybe 14 or.
I love you, Ashley Banfield. I'm so glad that you're on your own show. If you see this, I love you. That's all I got to say. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says.
Somewhere along the line, somebody asked you if you let the scene go too soon, sir. And this was your answer.
You know, Monday morning quarterback, I probably would have, but I'll say this.
Yes.
We processed the scene. We got what we thought was complete. My team did that.
Huh?
I have to have all the faith and trust in their abilities and their skills, and I think they went through that pretty well.
Huh?
But because another agency now steps in and wants to assist, we're just like with you, we're an open book.
What? Huh? Just like you were an open book? Are you really? Because you really didn't say anything. What you really did say is that FBI wants to come in and you don't really want them in, and you're going to hide things from them and send them off to the lab the way you want to. And then you throw your arms out like, what are you talking about, sir? And yes, now I can start since Jenna Bug's in the house. This guy's a pure clown.
Absolutely. How can we help? One of the things people don't see, I heard your question about, and we left and then others could walk up.
What is he saying?
When we process a scene and we're done, we return that scene to in this case, the homeowners, the family. And we don't just go march back in there. We call the family again and get permissions to go back to the home. So yeah, there's, again, Monday morning quarterback. Absolutely. I probably could have held off on that.
So you did have regrets.
He did have regrets. He just said that, but now he doubles down and says he didn't. He'd have done the exact same thing. Although he didn't tell us anything. His reporting is pretty much useless. He tells us nothing. He stutters the whole time. He backtracks. He lies, and he's not transparent. He's the opposite of transparent. I love that somebody in chat said, yes, he left the crime scene wide open, right? With his midlife crisis Corvette. By the way, his is not midlife. He's probably towards the end of his life crisis, but
you did admit that you let the scene go too soon and said, mea culpa, that's on me, whatever. So now why are you saying no regrets? Nope, I don't regret that we let the crime scene go too soon. Did you forget that you did regret it at one point? Like, what made you unregret it? I don't know. Okay, so then when asked, this was a good one. When asked what he would say to the person or people behind Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, Sheriff Nanos decided to say this. It's like a direct appeal. You ready? Quote, just give her up. Let her go. Take her to a clinic, a hospital. Drop her off. Just let her go. End quote. So
now listen, Sheriff Nanos is not a man of many words. He's a man of only a few words. You got to love her sarcasm right now. That is literally what he said. That was his quote. End quote. Just let her go. What? This guy's representing Pima County.
Yes, Sheriff Nanos believes that Mrs. Guthrie is still alive because it's just let her go, take her to a clinic, drop her off.
This guy, man.
Savannah Guthrie has issued a different tone, right? In her last statement, she said, we just want her home so that we can give her a place of final rest. I'm paraphrasing, but effectively, Savannah seemed to indicate that a place of final rest meant we want her home so we can celebrate a funeral of some kind or a memorial of some kind. And so to hear Sheriff Nanos say this, here's what I would say. And listen, what am I? But I've seen a few sheriffs do their thing. And I would say, motherfucker, we are going to find you.
Yes.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Yes.
So we are going to find you.
Yeah.
And we will tear you limb from limb, so to speak, in our system of jurisprudence in America. We will fuck with you when we find
shoot
you.
Your dick
so
off.
Yeah. Live your life looking over your shoulder, because we will find you and we will absolutely bring the full
Hunt you
force
down.
of Pima County and Arizona and the federal government down on your sorry, stinking ass. That's the thing that I would say. Not please drop her off, let her go, take her to a clinic. Again, that's just me. But I'm
Me
not so
too.
sure that
I
this is the
told you.
thing that you want to say to the perp.
Maybe it
I don't
is.
think he's going to do it. I don't know. Call me nuts. Stay 52.
That's what the sheriff should have done. Wow, let's vote Ashley Banfield for sheriff, right? Bring him back, you motherfucker. I'll track you down the rest of your life. I just love Ashley. I just found a new love. All right. and I agree. Why is he can't even talk? He stutters half the time when he talks. Yeah, 50% is lies. You figure out which ones and bring her a clinic, drop her off.
So then something else happened today, and that was that there was a hearing. Pima County Board of Supervisors held a meeting, and it's kind of like an airing of the grievances, Festivus for the rest of us, and a lot of people showed up. There were some issues that are unrelated to Nancy Guthrie that certainly happened at this meeting, but also there were some people who had some things to say about Sheriff Nanos. There were official people who came and spoke their piece, get him the hell out of there, so to speak. There's a recall effort, and there were citizens as well. I want you to hear from some of the folks who stood up and said what they wanted to say about Sheriff.
If they show the same lady, then we're going to just move forward. I want to thank Cool and Chris and everybody, all of you guys. But Cool and Chris is like pushing. Cool and Chris just got us to our goal. Jen's a gypsy. I missed you, but proud card carrying member, the avocado. Yes. Thank you. We made it to our goal. Now let's continue.
Of Chris Nanos, especially in light of the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Have a look.
Chris Nanos is an international embarrassment at this point. Now,
yes!
I know you guys didn't hire him. We elected him, unfortunately.
I'm Sergeant Aaron Cross, president of the Pima County Deputies Organization. As many know, a reporter recently uncovered the long-hidden, terrible record of Sheriff Chris Nanos from his time as an El Paso police officer.
Love it.
This includes purportedly beating a handcuffed suspect in the head with a flashlight, for which he was suspended and nearly indicted.
Did you hear that? That was it. That was the thing right there. He beat somebody or a suspect nearly to death with the butt of a flashlight and was almost indicted. Not as a sheriff or an officer. He did that just out of pure misuse of power. Did you hear that? He almost got indicted for it. But instead, what does he do? He resigns and he lies on his resume and goes to Pima County. And now these people see he is an international embarrassment, guys. You got to admit.
This record, if properly disclosed, would have likely prevented him from being hired or from becoming a peace officer in the state of Arizona. For over 40 years, this has been concealed from the department and the voters of Pima County. Because of this scandal, our organization, the largest union of deputies in Pima County, has taken a vote.
While the guy was handcuffed.
Question: confidence in Sheriff Nanos to continue in office, or no confidence and a call for his resignation? The verdict was unanimous. No confidence. He has lost the faith of his deputies and the community. His past renders him unfit to wear the badge. That he has concealed it for 40 years does not make the concealment right. It makes the fraud the badge, his deputies and the community. His past renders him unfit to wear the badge. That he has concealed it for 40 years does not make the concealment right. It makes the fraud greater.
Do it.
The 300 deputies I represent speak with one voice. Chris Nanos must show the integrity he once swore to uphold. He must show the dignity that the office requires. He must resign.
Yes.
If he will not, then I ask this board, charged with oversight.
Yes, I love it. I love that direct call for, first of all, let's embarrass the crap out of him because we know that he has a little man complex, right? Now, probably on all levels, he has a little man complex. That's the first thing. Second thing, he says some of the haters, some are going to hate you, some are going to love you. No, they all hate you and they all want you out, sir. Be a dignitary and just resign. Because at this point, you're just a clown. You're just a joke. You're fucking Pinocchio. I put Pinocchio on his nose today. I thought that was funny. And then I figured a clown nose would be better. All right? Embarrassing. He's embarrassing himself.
To exercise every authority vested in you. The power of this board should be used, not for comfort,
Yep.
but for accountability. There are moments in the life of a community
Resign,
when
yes,
those entrusted with
resign.
authority must stand firm against those who abuse it. This is such a moment. We ask that this board have the courage to support Supervisor Hines' item. Pima County and the nation is watching. Thank you.
I'm here to ask that the entirety of this board support the measure to hold accountable, open an investigation, and to call to question by legal means, in fact, that Sheriff Nanos lied under oath in a sworn deposition about his previous work history and subsequent discipline thereof, which is misrepresentation of office.
So there you have it. Don't know how the recall is going to go. It's going to be tricky. You need a lot of signatures, but Board of Supervisors sure has a lot to process after today. So let me get you to the meat of the reporting that I got today, that my sources got. And
then we're going to move forward to the next two people of interest that you haven't seen on my channel yet whatsoever. Howdy, Autumn from Southern Illinois. Howdy from California. And Indy Isham, listen, that's a great question, and I can't answer that for you. That means he needs to resign so that somebody can start doing their jobs. All right. He's a potato. I agree.
Is that the blood continues inside the house at that front entrance,
right after this,
inside the front entrance, not just outside the front entrance of her home, over the threshold of her front door and into the front entrance of Nancy Guthrie's home, and what that story might tell us, but also what the blood drops that we can see, which both Michael Ruiz and Brian Enton, Michael Ruiz from Fox Digital and Brian Enton from News Nation, were able to videotape with their own.
And can I tell you guys something? Can I tell you a little secret? The people that what do they call, what is it, we'll say forensic specialists, DNA specialists, they can get DNA from the shrubs down there and the things that he handled. There was a whole episode today on Nancy Grace where the lady attested to the fact that they can have just a little bit of DNA or spit. You remember how he was holding that? Maybe put it in his mouth. Maybe the mouth bite light that he had touched the shrubbery. Well, they could have gotten DNA off of that, but they didn't because it's still at the front door and it's all dried out. FYI.
Nice. You know, I think 38, 48 hours after the crime scene was just let go.
And the rug.
And actually, crime scene was let go 30 hours or so after the disappearance. By the time that Brian Enton and Michael Ruiz were able to videotape, I think it was like Tuesday. So, 2 to 3 days after Mrs. Guthrie disappeared and the crime scene was released, the reporters were able to at least witness the blood pattern, the blood spatter pattern at the front door. But we don't see it inside the house. So I spoke to Dr. Peter Valentin, again, of the University of New Haven, who's an expert in blood spatter, about what the blood tells us that he can see and what the information tells us that my source has told us about the blood inside and what it tells us about the crime. And what he has to say is fascinating. Dr. Valentin, what do you make of first?
Just real quick, and then we're off to the next two suspects. This person asks to let this go viral because it could be the clue that solves this case. But I'm not going to sit there and listen to this whole thing. He's going to tell us the same thing that Joseph Morgan Scott told us and everybody else about the blood spatter. She was still alive, low velocity, 3 to 5 feet in the air, blah, 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 a little bit of blood only in the beginning. All right. It wasn't a crime scene in the house in the way people might think.
First of all, just the overarching information that we've learned, and that is that the blood droplet pattern that we've all seen outside Nancy's front door continues over the threshold and inside her front entrance. But that's it. That's it for blood spatter, for blood droplets, for blood evidence in this crime scene.
So what's interesting about those blood droplets is that they're what we refer to in blood stain pattern analysis as drip stains. And drip stains are probably the most common stains that we see, and they are what they sound like. They are blood dropping from an object and landing on a surface, and they have no energy associated with them. It's simply gravity pulling blood down and blood falling onto a.
So she wasn't being drug out of the house, guys. None of that happened. I know it sounds good for this new drama series that we have going Monday through Friday, but that's not the case. And thank you for stopping by or coming in, Doris. I haven't seen you in forever, right? So Cali gal, says Deborah, that is too much common sense. He needs to be arrested and in prison. Doris Miller's in the house. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys.
Surface. And notice I didn't say it means that somebody's bleeding, although very often that is what's happening. What could be happening here is that we're all assuming that is Nancy Guthrie's blood.
No, we know that.
I was going to say, we know that. That's why I'm not listening to him farther than this, because he's not even, these experts aren't even referring to this particular case. It's just all of, overall. That's common sense. Common sense will tell you those are not drag marks of blood. Those don't have any kind of velocity. It's not a high velocity blood spatter where someone might have hit her in the head or what have you. Very basic common sense.
We do know that the sheriff confirmed it's hers.
Okay, right, because otherwise we'd be doing forensic genetic genealogy on that unknown blood. But what it means is that
This
an
guy wasn't
object, most
prepared
likely
today.
Nancy Guthrie, is the source of blood outside the threshold, right? So outside the door. But where it stops can mean one of two or even more things. One is that she is put into a vehicle. It is she or somebody sees that she's bleeding and then stops it, right? Puts a towel, puts a hand, does something to stop the bleeding. The other thing it can be is that she is repositioned, and the repositioning changes the blood flow.
All right, we're going to listen to the last part of this so you guys can get an idea. Then I'm going to introduce you to two new suspects, and then we're going to get back into the blood, and we're going to get into the marks of the wheels and the tires that were going, and a little bit more sophisticated talk, because to me, this is boring. Yeah. We know this. I'm not a blood spatter expert, but I've learned all this in the few weeks that this case has been going on. It's basic.
Well, that would be really critical if we had a continuation, but we don't.
And did you see that? The shrubbery was still on the ground. And I saw your comment earlier, Clementine, that said for sure that fool would have slobbered on something with the bite light, having those shrubbery in his face. Who knows if he held it in his mouth or what? Carissa, how you doing? Welcome in. All right, not a straight shooter. Get your shots out, buddy. What are you saying?
My sources tell me that what you see is what you get, except for the stuff inside that I broke, in this podcast. And that is that the blood droplets go down the outside entrance of Nancy's home and down the path and stop. No gap and then restart. So it just seems logical that that's where a car could easily park, and that's where she could have been taken away.
Now, listen, a lot of people keep saying that's not right. There was no tire tracks. They couldn't have been 5 people. There were no footprints. Well, listen, dum-dums, there probably were all of those things until people just started coming on there. Reporters, YouTubers, everybody and their mom, the pizza man, the freaking UPS guy. The UPS guy dropped the box 25 days after Nancy had already been missing. Wild. That's why there's no evidence like that. And there's still sitting evidence in the doormat, which is probably gone by now.
Yes. And so now I was a detective with the Connecticut State Police in addition to being a forensic scientist. So here's where I get to combine those two skill sets. And so imagine what I just told you, that, we have the repositioning of the source of the blood, right? So we'll assume for a moment it's Nancy's, maybe it's her chin.
It is
maybe it's her
Nancy's.
arm,
Can we just said
wherever
that?
it
Come
happens
on.
to be. And then, along with that, you have a waiting vehicle.
Yep.
Right. So the blood stops because there's a repositioning. And then why doesn't the pattern continue? Because she's put into a vehicle.
All right, we're going to leave it at that because that's just the basic common sense. And after that, he just kind of flutters around. That's not so much about this particular case. But it is interesting to think that she started only bleeding by the front door. Maybe somebody smacked her around because she didn't want to get out. Remember, they were in the house for 41 minutes or more. Okay, she might have been like, I'm not going anywhere with you. Bam, smack right at the front of the door all the way until the car came. How would the car come? There'd have to be a second person. Not even a second person, a third person that went around the back, opened it. The guy's like, hey, let me in. Okay, so don't believe anybody that says, well, there were no footprints or tracks. That's because everybody trampled all over them. And we still have evidence sitting at the front door. Now I introduce you to 2 new suspects. All right, let's do that. Basic blood spatter for dummies. All right. So I just want to share this. True crime believer. Nancy Guthrie Warriors. This is from X. Let's get this viral. It could be the clue that solves this case. I also heard this same thing on Mab's channel yesterday about one of his theories, and rightfully so, right? Get it out there. All theories are right because we don't know anything. All right, this man below says that he saw the Nancy Guthrie special where the family statement said, look at your journals, your notes, etc. And he remembered something on January 11th about a suspicious man. Same height and build as the doorbell guy. He was having an open house and his neighbors kept calling to check on him because this guy was so suspicious. At one point, the suspicious man entered the open home. Now, the realtor working this open house is from Habitation Realty. Hope I said that right. And the open house was somewhere on Alvernon. And I'm assuming that's a street right around there. She cannot access the list of people who entered that day because she's out of town. But she does have the name. Now, he reported it to the FBI, but is afraid that the information will be overlooked. He's hoping to get this out there in the case there's a way the FBI can access that list while waiting for the realtor that's out of town. Because we know Sheriff Nanos isn't going to do it. So let's hear what he has to say. And then we're going to talk about another person of interest that is also suspicious. You got to remember, when you've been in a town since 1975, your kids grew up there, your whole family was there, everybody knows everything about you. All right? Doris says, I've been up north 2 months. Oh, family funerals, watching in the bushes, but I'm glad to be back here. Missed my guilty of crime family. Oh, we missed you too, and prayers to you and your family and the funerals. We never want to hear that. Never, ever. All right, let's continue. Let's get this out there and hear what this guy has to say.
They challenged the public if you have,
let me see if I can open this more.
if you saw anything on these dates.
I guess not.
They challenged the public if you saw anything on these dates, and I actually did. But I didn't know until I looked at my calendar.
So you're saying someone was going to an open house and wrote their name down who was suspicious, who had been there before going in and out?
Right.
And he was just suspicious. People were calling in saying, who is this guy?
My neighbors.
Your neighbors were?
Me, yeah,
okay. So it wasn't just some random.
And so that's the same night that the date that they gave us on TV,
right,
which is about 12 miles away. Because if you go down Campbell, left on River, right on Alvernon, that's where the open house is. It's not far from here.
Okay.
And I just thought, so anytime you go to open house, you got to sign your name, ID.
Right.
And if the name of that person is there, if it's the person.
Does he have to show his ID, or can he just write any old name?
Well, see, I thought of that too.
Yeah.
A fake ID.
Right.
I would assume they got to show some kind of ID.
Right. Okay.
Because the real estate agents just can't let anybody.
Now, listen, although there's a lot of BS theories, they've got to be put out there. And by the end of the episode, my theory always comes back full circle. But you got to do this. Look at Thomas Karras. Thomas Karras is the man that called law enforcement about a tip when they asked for, has anyone seen this car? Remember, it was the Stephen Stearns car. He saw Stephen Stearns changing the tire. He called law enforcement and they ignored him. He then called again. He finally called again and they went out to the site where Maddie's body was ultimately found. He led them right to Maddie's body without even knowing it. But they didn't listen to him, and he made sure that he saw something, said something, and did something about it. So all leads are important, and I'm not spending a lot of time on this, but it's just got to be put out there. What's up, Zorro? How you doing? And Benick? Some of these names, I'm just going to call you Ben. Ben. Thanks, Ben.
Right. Yeah. And they want to.
If hopefully, and the name of that is of the real estate agent. If you can expedite this for me, that's fine.
There's people watching, but I would do what he said.
Habitation Realty. Her name is Heidi Foley. She's on vacation right now, so
okay.
I already talked to her. She knows about it. But if they can get to that list, and
you called the FBI tip line?
I called twice, and I even went to the FBI here in Tucson.
Yeah.
just to
Expedite, yeah.
Yeah.
I know you could call the Pima County Sheriff tip line too.
No.
You could look that on Google. Google Pima County Sheriff Nancy Guthrie tip line.
No, don't do that. Don't call the tip line. It's a dead end. All right, we're done with that. We're not calling in the tip line. And this one that if I don't bring this one up now, okay, we're going to pull this one down. And we love you, Deception Detective. Thank you for your hard work all the time. All right, we got all kinds of stuff here on my page. You guys should go follow me on X. It's my social media platform that I use constantly. As you can tell, I don't have any messages in my inbox because everybody's sending me messages to my Facebook and I don't even use it or respond. So that's just a hint. If anyone wants to get a hold of me, go over to my X account. All right. Did you hear what he said when he first got there? I didn't. Petty, do you want me to play that again? He asked, was anyone home? Oh, are you talking about the guy in the car just said that? Because I didn't hear that. I did not hear that. Was anybody home? All right, let's continue because I got more disturbing connections. However, this one, it doesn't need to be people that look like this necessarily anymore because we have multiple people now. Okay. So this is just one or two of the perpetrators. All right, let's continue. Let's do this. Everybody was talking about this, and so I'm going to do this so that everyone doesn't say, Jay, you forgot to mention that connection between this.
Update in the Nancy Guthrie case could finally.
And we're not watching this whole thing. I'm just going to introduce you to person number 2 of interest introduced into the case. Again, on Instagram too. You're right. Mine too. And on Friday, we're going to have Mab come on here. I don't know. I think Mab and Mrs. Mab, and he can give you his theories and the people all day long. Petty, thank you for letting me know that. You watched the original video and he pulled and asked the YouTuber, was anyone in the home? And then he asked, was Savannah home? That is weird. That really is weird. And you know what's even weirder than that is that people have that access to even get that close to the house, near the house, around the house. Very strange. And thank you, Petty. We're glad to have you here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely, Ben. You got that right. Kathy, we love tonight too. Let's go.
Point investigators toward the porch guy they have been chasing for weeks now. Locksmith Jonathan Davis was already arrested nearby a couple months prior and released right away. And now he is still out on the prowl, raising fresh questions about whether he could be the one who slipped into 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie's home that night.
Again, in my opinion, there is no the one. There are many ones. All right. Yeah, I can't see the chat right now, y'all. It's coming through slow. So hello to everybody. I tried to say hello, Gigi and everybody, but it's just slow coming through. I'm sorry. But I will pin your comment if I see it. Okay.
Without leaving a trace of forced entry. So I'm Joseph Morris. Nice to meet you. And don't forget to like and subscribe. So neighbors in the Catalina Foothills area where Nancy Guthrie was taken are sounding the alarm after recent break-ins tied directly to him. So Natalie Martinovich from the Catalina Foothills area wrote this on the Nextdoor app. Quote, I had my locks changed last week by on-call locksmith. Last night, the man who changed my locks broke into my home around 10 p.m. while I was home alone with all 4 of my children. The police responded within 5 minutes. This man spent 5 hours changing all the locks on my house and then unknowingly to me made a copy of the key for himself and came into my home last night. He came into my bedroom, which was when I was able to grab my phone.
And again, this is just another interesting tidbit. Whether the back door was open or not makes no difference. It could have been open prior to with that key he made. Now, I'm not necessarily buying this. I just want you to see the theories that are out there and discuss them, right? And it is very scary because next we're going to go into this whole story about this guy was so jacked up and weird and came to do the job that she asked him to get off of her property. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about all that. Got it, Terry. And welcome, everybody. If I don't see you, I apologize. Let's continue.
And called the police. He then left out the back door. The police found him and took him into custody. His personal truck was full of various locks and keys. He seems to be the owner or manager of this company. Please be safe and change your locks if you have used Jonathan Davis with On-Call Locksmith. But if you can believe it, it gets even more disturbing.
And listen, this gets a word out there also. It's a small town. Everybody knows everyone. And it's very scary that someone has access to change your keys and make an extra one so they can come back later. All right. Deanna Silva, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. How are you doing tonight? Deadlock from the inside. Well, yeah, I mean, all of these things, but let's listen to this part.
Sheila Hughes chimed in, quote, "This very POS showed up after I called a reputable locksmith, and he acted as if he was the one I called. He was ready to step into my house, but I stopped him after I smelled something shifty about him. I told him to get off my property, and he grudgingly left, but not before he gave me the dirtiest look I've ever seen. I found out that some locksmiths and maybe other on-call service people listen and steal calls from each other over some sort of network they can all tap into. I hope you and your kids are okay after this horrible experience. It's hard to know who to trust anymore. If possible, try to get recommendations from friends, family, and neighbors if you'll be."
And again, if all this does is give somebody a lesson, like you just said, Samantha Cortez, I hope everyone's learned not only one lesson, 2 lessons, 3 lessons, but all of these things to teach us to be more cautious and have more security in this day and age, and especially for your elderly parents that you're not very close to. They're by themselves. That's a big ass house to have an 84-year-old woman in that house. Now, mind you, to run a house like that and with a pool clean at all times, you've got to have multiple people running it. You've got to have someone that's cleaning the house once a week because you get the dust. You got to have someone doing the pool who knows how many times a week. I don't have a pool. I have a spa, and that's hard enough to keep up with. When you have a house, it takes maintenance. You need your lawn mowed. You need your your trees trimmed. You need your locks changed. You need your garage fixed, etc., etc. Okay? All of the above. Let's continue.
Be asking a stranger to come into your home. Sorry you had to go through this. It sounds incredibly scary, end quote. So what do you guys make of a locksmith pulling stunts like this in the exact area Nancy Guthrie disappeared? Drop your thoughts in the comments. So people have been wondering for weeks now how the perpetrator entered her property so easily that night with no obvious signs of forced entry. And now this new information raises a very real question. Is it possible there was a locksmith involved who duplicated her key during what seemed like a routine service call? That kind of access would explain so much about how someone could slip inside without triggering alarms or leaving obvious damage behind. In a neighborhood like Catalina Foothills, just outside Tucson.
And also, if it's an inside job and you know somebody's routine, it's very easy to just slide into that back door. All right. So all of the above, right? Allie Callie, what's up? You say, I agree. Victoria, you're 68. Are you ready to go? Are you ready to fight if someone comes in? I just got a robot lawnmower last summer. Oh my goodness, I want to see that. I've never even seen those before. Alone, no one close. My security system is German Shepherds. I love it. Vile girl or Ville girl, I live in a small town. Wouldn't believe how many people leave keys, wallets, pocketbooks in the car, house unlocked. They have keys. Does who have keys? Are you talking about Nancy or Annie and Tommaso? I would imagine they're only 10 miles away. They just moved over there less than 6 months. Heard they haven't paid one mortgage yet. Could be a rumor. I'm sure they'd have keys. Why wouldn't they? All right, let's continue. And this guy, I got to tell you, this guy's mustache is going to solve this case. It's the mustache, guys. It's that porn stash, baby.
Where homes often rely on professional locksmiths for quick lock changes or repairs. The idea that one of those trusted service providers could be using the opportunity to make copies is chilling. It turns an everyday home service into a potential setup for something far more sinister. And it fits the timeline of Jonathan Davis being active in the area right around the abduction window. And just thinking about the mechanics of it all, a locksmith shows up, spends hours working on every door and window, and in that time, it would be simple enough to create a spare key without anyone noticing. Then weeks later, perhaps after a call or two to test the waters, the same person returns under cover of darkness.
I mean, this is also how you know that this is very targeted. The fact that you have Sunday, January 11th, you know, there's no real light source coming from behind. It's a dark night, obviously not a full moon. And then you go from January to February 1st, guy wearing very similar clothes. People think he's the same. I think it's multiple people. And the way that this guy moves, I feel like somebody was already around that area. That means this is a targeted act. Now, an inside job, that's a whole other thing, but targeted, that says that very clearly right here.
Knowing exactly how to get in quietly. This pattern matches what neighbors are reporting now, and it lines up with the kind of calculated access that could let someone bypass security without raising any red flags. So when you combine that with Jonathan Davis having been arrested nearby before but released quickly, it starts to feel like the kind of overlooked detail that could change the entire direction of this case. It makes you wonder how many homes in the Catalina foothills might have been quietly compromised the same way.
Now, listen, they're going to start thinking about this, and rightfully so. All right. Oh, yeah, Yaz in the house 1976. Come on in, hit that like button, subscribe, get a membership. We're going to give away a guilty of crime bunny at the end of the show. All right. So stay here. Easter's coming. I love it, Wolfpack. We should put Tom Selleck right next to him. That's an 80s stash if I ever saw one. Now, look, times are changing, okay? When the Night Stalker came around, nobody locked their doors or their windows. Night Stalker came around in Los Angeles in the, 80s? And he started getting into old women particularly. He wasn't biased. He did that with children as well. You might not know about that, but he did. He actually did that with children, and they decided not to convict him on that. But he was targeting everybody, and he had no problem graping older women by climbing in through their windows. In the 80s, we didn't think about locking our windows and getting the things and putting a stake and doing all that. Why would we? After the Night Stalker, no one leaves their windows open, do you? And if you do, you definitely have a security system. Golden Hen, thank you for being here again. And for the 1999 super sticker, Drop Dead Serious said Nancy commonly left her back door open. Yeah. Also, there was blood on the inside. Nancy Grace comment, there was a flashlight outside of Nancy's home, like a headlight when the perp was on the porch. Yes, we're going to get into some of that. And we did talk about that. We didn't watch the Drop Dead Serious episode from yesterday, but it carried over today talking about the back door. All right. And yes, there are light theories, like somebody else was coming with another light from there. I hear you, my friend. And thank you. I appreciate you. You've got a lab that's going to protect you. Yeah, no, we didn't. Right? You remember that? M. Clar, Ali Kelly. Let's talk about time changing. I saw 298. I'm in California. Mine's where we're at like 439 and up. All right. It's almost $5 a gallon, guys. All right, let's go.
Turning a simple service call into a backdoor entry that no one suspected until it was too late. To add some important depth here about the Tucson region and who might have been ruled out early on, former FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer took a close look at every registered sex offender living within a 3-mile radius of Nancy Guthrie's home. None of them matched the profile of the suspect.
Now, listen, we went over this yesterday. We're ahead of the times. Go back to my episode, not yesterday, the day before. 2 days ago, I showed this. So this is all I wanted to show you on this video was the very beginning about the locksmith. And then he's going to go into what we already talked about. And there's no need to. About the backpack, we know. We see his movement. We believe that he came up and someone else came around. We saw light, right? All right. And then he goes into this, which we already went through. Now we're going to get into the drag marks and the blood stains with Auntie Nancy. All right. And this is not from today. This is 25 minutes into yesterday's, talking about the helicopters heading down to the border. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is this part of it. Let's go.
Top of that cul-de-sac. That's where construction is.
And it's always good to have a map like this, because now we're talking about what we were talking about 2 days ago, which was the vacant property and the Guthrie home in correlation to the construction site and the vacant property. Okay. So the Guthrie home is right there, literally down the street in a loop from the construction site, right down the street from the vacant property. And then there's a Guthrie neighborhood. Not many people in the area. Again, why you should absolutely have had better security, right? And this house you can get in anywhere. You can come here from the back. There's this trail you can walk in. You come in from here, you come in from here. There's so many entrances. Not a good idea, guys.
Galante, and you directly stare from Nancy's home up the street. That kind of there's a cul-de-sac above, if on this camera view above her street, you'll see a white roofed house at the very, very top of that cul-de-sac. That's where construction is occurring.
So we see the construction site and the vacant property site. Now, do those lights coincide with either of those properties? To Dave Mack from Crime Stories, what about it?
Nancy, it's very possible that those lights line up where you can see, or what appears to be, not a natural light. This is something.
You came on at perfect timing. Didn't you just talk about the lights? And what else did you say? I got the light part, but yeah, there you go. Right at the perfect time. There's no way I'd live in that home. Exactly. I always say that too. I'm like, if I didn't have a family, there's no way I'd even want to live in this house. This house is way too big. There's too much maintenance to do over the years, painting roofs, blah, 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 blah. The grass, the backyard, the front yard, the mowing, the trimming, the gardening. Nobody wants that. Right, Mom? Right. All right. That's way too big for her. And I suspect she had lots of people running her household for her because there's no way she was going to do it. All right, let's look back at these lights real quick.
Construction site and the vacant property site. Now, do those lights coincide with either of those properties? To Dave Mack from Crime Stories, what about it?
Nancy, it's very possible that those lights line up where you can see, or what appears to be, not a natural light. This is something that is at an angle right there. I'm just amazed. Yep. It's coming from what appears to be the vacant house where the construction work is being done.
Now, I want you to remember 2 weeks ago, we also saw a light coming from the front door where he was standing. We saw him coming and doing the lock and doing the deal. And we saw a light come down, like a cell phone light or some kind of light. So those are not the only lights that we've been seeing. Those lights were flashing. Let's see.
Wait a minute. Dave Mack, you said
it is.
It could be coming from the vacant house, the construction site. Those are two different things. Let's see the map again. Okay. It can't be coming from both. So based on where her home is, where the porch is, which is it more likely? What's the most likely source? Would it be the construction site or the vacant property?
Right.
The construction site is what I meant. And if you notice, as the perp glances over the shoulder.
I love how she schools people. She's like, listen, bro, I've got you on my show. We've got 34 more minutes left. Spit it out. All right. What are you saying? Are you saying it's from the vacant lot? Are you saying it's from the construction site? Because I don't have time for this. And I feel her. All right. Let's continue.
It's like that's where this light is coming in. And when he's moving, we can see it. It's a stationary light. It's not moving. He's moving. She is. But
Okay, there are many scenarios which could create this. It could be headlights, but yet it's not moving.
I love it.
But there you see the looking back at it.
Yep. Look at that.
It could still be headlights even if the vehicle wasn't moving. That could be the so-called getaway car. Could it be solar lights? Could it be a house light? To Todd Shipley joining us, cybercrime expert, how well can the feds enhance that?
Y'all are funny.
Well, I think with the technology we've got today, they can do a lot to identify what it possibly was. If it was a car, maybe they can outline the lens and try to figure out what it is. But at the altitude that it's at, it's probably, as you're suggesting, the construction site, something down the street, because it doesn't look low enough.
It does look like headlights, guys. I can see the two lights that light up, and you got that eerie picture of him right as he turned. Look at that face. You know how scary that would be? That'd be scary for even myself, that I could just reach under my pillow and grab a Mr. 9mm. That would be scary to wake up to, guys. That looks like Jason Voorhees before he gets his hockey mask. Just saying. But I feel bad for Nancy that she had to endure any of this. That's scary. All right. But it looks like, and I was going to say something funny about, what's his name? He loves the lights. Mob Crew. Just go watch Mob Crew. Every day he'll talk about the light theory. All right. Let's continue. I got a lot of.
To be at the street level. So it's probably coming from that construction site.
Yep.
But they can do a lot to make it look better and try to figure out what it is. But again, like I said yesterday, why didn't they notice this earlier? Why was this not something that they looked at? What was the bias they were looking at?
Well, hold on, Shipley. How do we know they didn't notice it?
Yeah, we don't know.
I mean, I haven't been tripping through the FBI files, but for all we know, they have noticed it. And if they haven't, well, they have now.
Not only that, I gotta tell you, they're not going to tell us their theories. So if y'all think that this case is cold, it's far from being cold, and they're just not letting the public know. They're not going to tell you, you know what? We saw those lights, and as a matter of fact, we saw those lights, and one of the neighbors shared their camera footage, and we know what car it is. They're not going to do that, and rightfully so. We have cameras all around. You can't even fix a wedgie. You can't have it outside without being a bingo. We were talking about that at work today. All right, let's continue. I have 3 dogs, and you will not, I assure you, with my 3 little dogs, ask Mama Pearl, you cannot get near my front door without them telling us, Mom, somebody's here. Mom, somebody's here. Mom, they're here. Mom, now they're at the door. Mom, they're inside. My dogs are the best. And you don't have to be attack dogs. I got a Maltipoo and 2 Yorkies. And when my mom comes over, I notice because they tell on her. Just saying. And everybody else.
I want to use your brain on another issue. I want to talk about those tracks. We got additional photos of the tracks outside Nancy Guthrie's home. Let's see the additional. There you go. There's one of them. Let's keep looking. And I want you to notice that's from Chillinois on X. We've got several more.
Now, listen, that's awesome because I didn't even realize that I didn't connect the two. So that gives you just a little bit of credibility to Chillinois that we and y'all should go follow on X. That information's coming from Chillinois, which was the guy that had the theory, whatever, right? See something, say something. Go to X, I assure you.
Keep looking. That's the one we showed you last night.
More blood.
Now,
drag marks.
Very concerning how this scene was treated. How was the scene handled? When were these photos taken? When were the tracks left behind? Extremely significant. Had the pizza delivery guy come up there? I mean, had the gravel been disturbed? What about it, Joe Scott Morgan? This is your bailiwick.
Yeah, looking at these, Nancy, actually now, if you take a look at that larger kind of panoramic view of the tracks, you can actually appreciate that it's got what we refer to as kind of a curved or curvilinear pattern, and this is a bilinear track. So you've got two tracks that are running parallel to one another, and it's hard to judge from this angle. It's hard to judge depth. But what I can tell you, though, looking at this, and there's been a lot of speculation about this, is what we refer to in automotive terms when we're doing automotive work. As far
Wait, what? I want to know what that means. What is the date on the rut photo? I'm not sure. Love my Yorkie. She lets me know if anyone's around the out. Exactly. The gardeners, any single person that even walks through the gate. Now, the gate, there's a lot of space between the gate and the front door. They let me know. They say, Mom, someone's in the driveway. Mom, they're now at the gate. Mom, they're at the front door. Oh, yeah. My dog would never allow anyone in. She doesn't let the kids' friends in. She'd just be barking like, woo, woo, woo. It's an entire show. That was funny. Thanks for the laugh. Let's continue. Joseph Scott Morgan is a breath of fresh air compared to some of the other experts we've been hearing tonight.
far as investigations, it's got a wheelbase, very specific wheelbase. What can we deduce from that? Well, we've heard any number of things. I've heard people say a wagon. Don't think it's a wagon. I think probably two wheel. That could be a trash bin. I've heard a lot of chatter about that. And of course, what we mentioned yesterday, a wheelchair. Of course, if you think about a wheelchair, you've got two separate tires, or you've actually got four, but they're on both sides. And so as you turn this thing, the radius of this thing is going to readjust. This looked like you're talking about two wheels at this point in time. So what could generate that? If they do the wheelbase assessment on this, and I hope that they did this at the time because these tracks have probably been eradicated now. If they did a measurement on this, that could put them in the neighborhood of what it was, what conveyed.
I didn't mean to be muted. My bad. You guys are probably like, Jay, muted. Why did these pictures come from an online sleuth? I'm just curious. I wonder if they did their due diligence and actually measured those before they got wiped away. Probably not.
Actually generated. And that could point back to something specific. Did they show up with these items in tow? That is a perpetrator, perhaps? Or is it something that was left behind as a result of dragging trash cans out the road? But here's the problem, and this has been one of the problems all the way along, Nancy, is that if they didn't do it in the beginning, there's a problem because you can't go back and undo what you haven't done. It just doesn't make sense. And the fact that he has stated, he being the sheriff, that these are of no consequence. I beg to differ, sir.
Listen, the first 24 to 48 hours is the most important, okay? Period. It's also very important that you don't just pull out of a hat people that you think that you want them to be cleared and put that out to the public. So everybody is trying to shame, and rightfully so, Sheriff Nanos. If y'all are in the area of Sheriff Nanos, go vote to get him out of there. Vote for his recall, or better yet, let's put some really good episodes out there with him, with the clown face, the clown nose, a Pinocchio liar. Let's shame him so much that he resigns, because that's what I believe they're trying to do right now. They're either trying to say, hey, be a dignitarian and do it yourself, or we're going to shame you out of office and make you resign. All right, let's continue. Oh, where am I?
They are significant consequences because every bit of information that you can glean from the scene is important to the investigation.
Fitz, the various conveyances that may have been used, for instance, I get the significance of a wheelchair. I get that.
I don't think
Did they bring it? Did she already have a wheelchair? But I don't get the significance of, for instance, a dolly. What would that be for? Now, one reason this could be critical.
I mean, come on. They used the dolly in the Hannibal Lecter case. Didn't we take that original? Do you remember the Silence of the Lambs? They took the very first outcry of what Savannah Guthrie said from Silence of the Lambs. So Wolfpack, maybe they hauled her off like they did with the Silence of the Lambs. Just saying. No date for the photo, probably after the crime lab. All right, they messed it up. First 48 hours are just gone.
Is because it does seem as if a conveyance was used. Could we see the blood video? The video, not the still. Because, Brian, it seems as if the blood trail stops where the conveyance, the tracks, pick up. So was she then put in some sort of conveyance? A wheelchair? Something movable? Why do I care, Brian? Because someone else would likely have had to help the porch guy. He couldn't do all of this on his own, or could he?
He could do it on his own. I'm never going to challenge that. Will he do it on his own? Did he do it on his own? Probably not. And listen, Flojo TV, this is great. You guys everyone needs to like clip this and share these, because that's exactly what I was going to put on my title today. But instead I just gave him a big clown nose. All right. Sheriff Nanos for recall. They should make flyers with his face on there and ask everybody to recall the sheriff. Thank you, Flojo TV, for sharing that with me. I appreciate you. All right, now back to our discussion. Gotta shame him, right? He's a dignitarian. He's gonna resign himself, right?
Yeah, this would definitely speak to a second subject being there on the scene. And as Joe Scott Morgan pointed out, identifying the width of that wheelbase, is going to help identify what that object was that was creating those marks, and then can provide us a little bit more of an insight into, the weight required to create a depth of a tread that deep, and how far they went. Where did it go? Where did it begin? Where did it stop? So I think it's very possible that some sort of conveyance was used to bring Mrs. Guthrie from the door to the vehicle.
Another issue that has reared its head is a previous armed robbery in the same area. Let's see.
And that, hold on. My bad. I'm playing my live while I'm playing my live. Yeah, no, I don't believe there's any kind of wheelchair or anything like that. And Alan, I still believe that's probably a trash can too. You would be surprised what you could do with a freaking trash can. If that thing's empty, they could have put her in there and wheeled her out if they wanted to. Do I think that happened? Probably not. All right, probably not. But again, we don't have a lot to go on, so we're not going to we're not on the right track. We're on the track of everything, because all we have to go on is what experts are saying. Circus music. He can't even find himself if he went missing, right? Crime time, grime. I'll have to go through all JLR's videos to prove what the wheel marks are. All right. Well, that's an interesting take on that. JLR, what?
The video footage of that. Interesting. This seems to have appeared in broad daylight. Very, very different from the MO in the current case. Dave Mack, explain to me what this prior robbery is.
Yeah,
Nancy,
right?
this group of robbers show up at the door, but they do it in a very tactical way.
So this is actually a third theory today. Jay, don't get existential on us. And yeah, you know what, Flojo TV, those tracks could be anything. That's the most, that could have been from one of the trucks, the delivery drivers taking over something, right? Taking a thing over. It could have been anything at this point. It could have been the freaking pizza man. What happened to those pictures and who's looking at them? That's what's important. The fact that we're circulating them on X and on YouTube, that's not going to help the investigation if law enforcement or FBI haven't looked at it.
First, a woman goes to the door claiming to have a package from Amazon. The homeowners do not answer the doors. They're not expecting anything from Amazon. So the person goes away. A couple weeks later, 2 weeks go by. This is all in September. 2 weeks go by, and the same woman in the same outfit shows up again. But this time, she's got a van that can be seen on the Ring doorbell camera out by the road, and a guy is in it. Now she goes to the door again, claiming to have an Amazon. This time, the occupants of the home are not there. So there's nobody in this house the second time this woman shows up at the door. 45 minutes later, Nancy, this woman comes back. This time she's got men with her in the van. The men go to the side of the house and break in. They go into the home. They get a safe. They get other jewelry and valuable.
Now, listen, I really want this case to be solved. I hope it gets solved. I hope that Nancy Guthrie gets brought home. I really do. But more than anything, I can't imagine being any of those people in that area and feeling comfortable in Pima County. You've got a clown for a sheriff that doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, right? And then you've got these things going on right there. And these are not the only people that we've seen doing the crimes. We've got Mr. Mab that's got another guy, totally different person, car, incident in that area. How safe can you really feel? All right. And we're going to give away an Easter bunny in the few minutes at the end. So hit that like button, drop a comment, and make sure you have a membership. Well, we need closure, but the family needs to put her to rest if she's no longer with them. They were on vacation. All right, let's continue. Pound Town. All right.
Was inside the home. And again, remember, this home is not currently occupied. The owners are on vacation. The daughter is away from the house. The robbers, they ended up pepper spraying the little dog, pepper spraying the dog. They then escaped, and it took about 2 weeks for police to track down the woman who was pretending to be the Amazon.
Now, let me also tell you something else about a scenario like this and why I think that this had to have been something gone awry, inside, targeted, whatever, what have you. Most criminals that are going to break in, that do robberies, they don't break in when you're awake. They don't come in at 11 o'clock in the morning when you're drinking your coffee. They come in anytime between 2 and 5 a.m. when the people are sleeping. They take your shit and they leave. Or you're on vacation, they clean your house out. This is not that. And I'm not talking about this Amazon scam. I'm talking about this whole situation with Nancy Guthrie. All right. Yeah, she's just like an Amazon delivery. I've seen plenty of those.
A delivery person. But the other three have not been arrested. And this happened in the Catalina Foothills area, not far, 10 minutes from Nancy Guthrie's house.
There are startling similarities, but overall, I would say a lot of dissimilarities in that case. I find it critical to you, Fitzgibbons, that the other three perps were not apprehended. And there are theories that as many as 5 perps are responsible in the Nancy Guthrie kidnap. But Fitzgibbons, this would mean that there are 3 perps still floating around from this last armed robbery.
Saucy Skin CBD's in the house. What's going on, girl? Hello, and stay here for a bit because we're going to give away a guilty of crime Easter bunny right after this. All right, we made it to the goal. Let me just share it with you so everybody knows, and then we can. It's so cute. Everyone knows, and we can give it away. Hold on. I have so many things open. I don't know how I can keep track. All right. There it is. Right there. The guilty of crime Easter bunny. We're going to give that out after this episode. All right. All right. Stay here. Hit that like button. Drop a comment. It gives you a better chance to win things. Just ask the people that win things all the time over here.
There are a lot of dissimilarities as well, Brian. What do you make of it?
Yeah, certainly. There's definitely enough here to at least tell us that what's possible and what's possible to avoid detection and apprehension by law enforcement, right? That there are 3 of these subjects still walking amongst the residents of Tucson right now.
American homeowners, the FBI has been warning about a type of real estate fraud called title theft.
All right, that's it. You got your things in this guy. I didn't like him. I wasn't feeling him too much. Now, Nancy Guthrie, you guys should look at the Brew Crew Beyond 50, because he talks about the dates and how much they matter. As a matter of fact, you guys let me know if you want me to. I have one more thing queued up for you guys that just came out hours ago, talking about the 3 dates and how they match up. Do you want me to break that down for you, or do you want me to do the giveaway now, and we'll see you back here tomorrow? Let me know, because this guy doesn't do it for the drama. He doesn't do it for the uh-oh moments or the breaking news. He does it because he knows what he's talking about, and he gives you insight into this particular case. All right. Krista says, yes. Who doesn't need a pink guilty of crime money? All right. Or bunny. All right.
We're now several weeks into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. And instead of more answers, we've been given something else, a letter, not from investigators, but from the family. And when a family releases a letter like this with specific dates, specific language, and just a very focused request, it's not something that's done randomly. This was intentional. Because families, they don't just speak to the public in the middle of an active case unless they're trying to push someone or something forward. And in this case, they give us 3 time markers: January the 31st, the early mornings of February the 1st. And one that really stands out to me is that late evening of January the 11th. Now, that last one, that changes how we have to look at this entire case, because
and it does. It absolutely does. All right, my girl Tiff, check your email. All right, I will. Let me play this for a bit.
Tells us that this may not have started the night that Nancy disappeared. It may have started much earlier.
You think?
And today I want to slow down and just walk through this letter piece by piece, because I believe that this statement may be one of the clearest signals that we've had so far about where this case actually stands.
I don't have anything.
At first glance, this letter feels like what you would expect: gratitude, appreciation, community support. But it doesn't just stay there. It shifts. And when it shifts, it becomes very specific. The family says Tucson and the surrounding community that may hold the key. They say someone knows something. And then they go further. They say someone may have information and not even realize how important it is. That line matters, because that's not just asking for a witness. It's asking people to rethink what they already saw. It tells me something right away. This case may not be missing information.
I actually don't think it is. I just think that they had it in the wrong hands. I have to go fast with him because he talks so slow. If I was to go at I'll go at 125 then.
It may be missing recognition. And those are 2 completely different things, because sometimes the answer isn't new evidence. It's old evidence that nobody realized mattered at that time. A car that didn't belong in the area. A person who maybe lingered too long.
Now, what he's saying essentially to all of us is that this case, we really do have to rethink day by day when this happens. We now have a 3rd date, 2 of which are marked. The images are marked, right? We have the 11th and we have the 31st. But where did the other date come from, and what does that mean? Does the FBI, are they honing in on that? Did anybody give them any information? Who was there? Were you in town that time? Did you have dash cam footage? What? How do you come out with another date almost 8 weeks in? And not only just another date, guys, I just literally showed you 3 more theories or people of interest. The 24th, let's look at it.
In that neighborhood, or a light on at the wrong time. Maybe
so the dates that he's referring to: January 11th, January 31st, and February 1st. So we got another date in there. I don't know why we didn't have that date in there. January 11th and 31st and February 1st seems obvious to me, right?
a conversation that just didn't quite sit right with you, or a camera clip that got ignored. That's what this letter sounds like to me. It sounds like the answer may already exist somewhere in the normal life. Now, that's exactly why cases like this are so difficult, because normal doesn't trigger alarm. It not until it does. Now, let's talk about that first date, January the 31st. On the surface, that makes sense. It directly tied to the timeline of Nancy's disappearance. But I want you to think about how the family used it. They didn't say, that night. They pointed to the date. And then separately.
And why would they not have said that night? I keep wondering why they didn't have that from the beginning. It literally makes zero sense. I don't know about the 24th. Fill me in on that if you do. Also, guys, when this is done, we're going to give that away. But Tiff wanted me to show you this because this is everything that you're going to get will be here. All right. So this will be a nice little guilty of crime kind of Easter basket fun stuff for somebody to win. So when this is over, we're giving that away. And it's all coming from the lovely Tiff. All right. Thank you, Tiff, for updating me on the picture instead of this. This is much cuter, right? Remove that. That's super cute. And now we're back to what we're doing. It took a minute to come in, Tiff. I don't know what's up with the internet nowadays. All right, let's continue. Third date.
Pointed to the early morning hours of February the 1st. When I think about it, it tells me that they want people thinking in phases, not just one moment, but a build up and an execution window. So January the 31st may not just be the night that something happened. It may be the night that everything was set in place.
Amen.
Who was
brother.
in that area? What vehicles moved through that neighborhood?
And did Tommaso actually really take Nancy home by himself? Why did he take her home instead? I mean, there's a lot of questions I have about that night, and it's weird because they're not asking those questions. It's really weird. I saw a comment I wanted to pin up, and then it went away. So sorry, guys. We'll get back to it. Let's continue.
Who was seen where? What routines was changed, and what cameras might have picked up something early in the evening? Because if this was planned, then the hours before the crime matters just as much as the crime itself. People don't just show up blind in a situation like this. They need to observe and confirm different things. Then they'll return. And if that's what happened here, then on January the 31st becomes more than just a date.
No, you're 110% right, in my opinion, Deb. I don't believe that some people are saying that she never made it home. She absolutely made it home. And that was part of the routine that she had of whatever it is that she was doing that day. That's why I believe not only was it an inside job, but it was very targeted. And we know it's targeted when we see a prior date of a masked man similar to that house. But what the frick happened between the time that Tommaso gets Nancy Guthrie in the car, drives over to the house, and opens the garage door, and she walks in those 2 minutes? What happened in between there? What happened? What time did his car go? What did they have pictures of his car? How far did he park? Did he do what he said? Did he walk her to the door? Because we didn't see that. All right. My theory is Nancy's home was entirely staged. Her name is not important. Interesting.
It becomes part of the preparation. Then the family narrows it down even further, not just February the 1st, the early morning hours. That wording is precise in this letter because now we're talking about a very specific environment, low visibility, low activity. Most people are asleep. Reliance on cameras instead of the human eye. That's this window. And if someone understood the neighborhood and the timing and the vulnerability, then this was not a random kidnapping. This was very much controlled because those early morning hours that's when someone can move with the least resistance. So now the question becomes, who was awake? Who was out? Who was left? Who came back? And who got a notification and ignored?
Like how he says, who came back? Is he referring to what is he referring to? Is he referring to the people that came before? Or is he talking about Tommaso coming back or whoever dropped her off? Again, I wonder what time that timestamp shows of Nancy going home. She didn't go through the front door, so apparently we don't see her on camera. Instead, she walks through the garage.
It. Who saw something and dismissed it? Because that's what the family is asking. They're asking people to go back to that exact timeline and rethink it. Now, let's talk about the date that doesn't fit at first glance. That January the 11th. Not just January the 11th, the late evening of January the 11th. This is where the letter shifts from important to critical, because now we're no longer looking at one night.
I still see your comments there, Missy. Pam Todd says Jay loves talking to herself. Now let's all see if she answers herself. I can see him. I just have to, it's not coming through StreamYard as fast as y'all are typing. And the only reason I keep muting it is because whatever the frick I had, well, I know what I had for lunch. At that and my Red Bull was like, okay, I don't want to burp on here with you guys. But no, I can see your comments. I just have to switch back and forth. So it's not ideal for me.
We're looking at a possible earlier event, and that raises a serious question. Was there activity before the disappearance? Because when you introduce a date like that, you're signaling something. You're saying, don't just look at when this happened. Look at what may have happened before that time. And that opens the door to something even bigger. The surveillance, maybe casing of the neighborhood, a prior approach or a test run. This case is big, folks, and it would more than likely require all of this casing and maybe a test run, a presence that went unnoticed. Because if someone was around on January the 11th, late in that evening, and then again weeks later,
I mean, it has to be. At this point, I don't even know why we're talking. I mean, I guess we should talk about it because to keep Nancy's name out there and kind of keep on track, so we're not going with, yeah, UFO got her and sucked her up before she got into the house. Cool, and Chris, you're still awake. Talking to yourself is not crazy, only if you answer yourself. Okay, now I know. I'm not going to answer myself. Did I? I just answered myself.
Again, this would not be something that is random.
This guy talks too slow.
It's a sequence. It's familiarity. That's someone who knew what they were doing. Now, the wording matters just as much as the date. Late evening, that narrows behavior. It suggests that timing is part of the pattern. And when timing becomes a pattern, you start looking at routine. Who operates during those hours? Who was out on January the 11th and had reason to be there? Who did? Who didn't? Because the family is not throwing that phrase casually.
And don't you think that January 11th, there would be a lot of people around the area that have their cameras that do pay for the subscription that can say, hey, at this time it was really weird because that guy that we saw at the front door didn't walk there. I assure you nobody walked there. All right. And Ben may never make it to the house. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, that goes too far for me with a conspiracy theory that she never even made it and they took blood drops and they didn't. It goes too far. She had to have made it home. All right. Except when you're on a plane and someone burps a pub sub. Yeah. Baby Guilty. Baby Guilty bought, she DoorDashed, what is she, those pork bun things. She DoorDashed a bunch of pork buns and I ate those for lunch and now I can't stop with I can't even drink my whole Red Bull. All right, let's continue. This guy talks so slow.
They are directing attention to it. And that tells me that they believe something about that night. that time, it matters in a case like this. Now, step back and look at all 3 time references together: January the 11th, January the 31st, and early morning February the 1st. That structure doesn't feel spontaneous. It feels layered. And when something feels layered, it usually means it developed over time. That suggests patience, awareness, and control, possibly familiarity with the environment, because this does not feel like someone stumbled into a situation. It feels like.
And you know what they can't do, what they can't control? They can't control the way Nancy Guthrie acted. So we don't know how she acted when she woke up. We know that her pacemaker went faster, right? We know that it disconnected at some point. We know that they were in the room at some point. At least law enforcement said that she came out of the room potentially because she was sleeping. And then we see the little bit of blood droplets at the front door. Was she talking back to them at the front door? It's like, I don't want to go with you. I don't have I don't have my, you know what I mean? Maybe they thought she had a bigger safe with more money. There's nothing in the safe, or she really didn't have cash connected to a card. Whatever they thought they were going to get didn't happen, in my opinion. I don't know.
Someone who knew where they were. They knew what they were doing and moving with confidence. And all of that matters because it tells you what kind of person that law enforcement may be dealing with. Now, the family does something very specific here. They ask people to check camera footage, journal.
I do hate that he keeps saying the family, because it's not the family. Savannah is speaking for the family. The Annie and Tommaso, who are right there and very present in this case, are not present at all. As a matter of fact, they're hiding their face, just like Savannah said she wouldn't do.
Notes. Check text messages and just observations and maybe conversations. That list is also not something that is random. That's behavioral evidence. That is memory evidence. It's people evidence, and it tells me that this case may live in small details, because small details, I promise you, the smallest detail can crack a case. It's not just what.
Not only that, guys, but the more people we have, the better. All right. You guess he's from Georgia. What do y'all think? Yeah, he talks too slow. So basically, I mean, I wanted to get into the dates and everything with him. But I also broke down a bunch of things that he said behind the scenes, because I was like, I don't think I'll be able to listen to this whole thing. He calls this case, something about this case isn't adding up. Okay. So I'm going to just sum it up for you, because he talks so slow and it's driving me nuts. All right. The letter that was released to the family, he's talking about the first kidnapping letter that went to TMZ. The speaker, he talks about the dates, January 31st, February 1st, and late evening on January 11th. Very obvious dates that they should have had from the very beginning. All right. The family states, and it's not the family, it's Savannah that is the face of it, says somebody knows something. Someone knows something and has information, right? And we don't realize the importance that they're trying to put into it, or what's behind what was written in that letter. All right. She says, indicating that the case might be missing recognition rather than new information. So January 31st, I don't even know why they weren't looking on that date and breaking it down, suggesting that that night there were preparations beforehand. Maybe there were people at the front door. Maybe they can find something from the back. They didn't do that. They didn't ask us for that. Now the family's focusing on just the early morning. We all are, because we've got that timeline. Remember? We've got that timeline that shrinks and shrinks and shrinks to one specific time where it went off and that's all we're focusing on. So basically what he's saying here is, open this up. This case gets more complicated. They're trying to open the dates and find out what was happening between. And he's not saying what about Tommaso? Did he drop her off? Where did he drop her off? Why did he drop her off? He's just saying in general, that night, who was prepping and where, and what can we find? All right. So the case is and it's important for him to say, everybody is saying the case is very actively moving behind the scenes. And the more quiet that it gets from law enforcement, the closer that it gets for them to have a break in the case. So I want you guys to know that. All right. And you guys could go finish watching the video there. I've already said it all. I like him, but it drives me nuts to listen to him talk that slow. All right. Now we're gonna give away. We're gonna give away that plus the other stuff. All right. I got a lot of things behind the scenes here, and I'm like, where'd it go? All right. Let's go, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe. If you are behind, we have 333 people in chat. So let's say a prayer that Nancy Guthrie is brought home. All right. And now, if you guys are behind, I apologize. We're about to give away a little guilty of crime Easter bunny with some things. You don't want me to tell you, Tiff, what those things look like to me. But anyway, on the next note, all right, let's continue. All right, guys, only one person. You got to be in green and in the United States because otherwise it's expensive to ship. Ready, set, and count down. All right. You can't get onto your channel, Kathy? All right, let's see. Let's see. Who is it? I don't think she's a member. She's not. I'm sorry, girl. Michelle Pacewark is here, and she says a genuine kidnapper would leave meds behind. They want the victim alive and well to gain true objective, getting money. And listen, frankly, Michelle, they wouldn't have put a, I hear you. All right, we're going to do it again because she's not a member. She is not a Crime Crew member, so you guys get another chance to win. All right, but you made a good point there. You made an absolute good point there. All right, let's continue. Yeah, they would have took her medicine, guys. They'd have had all her stuff. They'd be taking care of her. That's not this. They have not been taking care of an 84-year-old woman for the last 8 weeks. I almost could assure you that. Only based on statistics, though. Not like I know. All right. You guys ready? I got like 30 people left. Say a prayer 333. And I don't know who Deborah Manchester is because my chat's going slow. All right. Is there Deborah Manchester? And you are not. You're praying for us, though. Deborah Manchester's praying, but she is not a Crime Crew member. All right, guys. One more time. Third's a charm, right? Let me refresh this. I can see you guys in the back chat now because I am in real time. I'm on the back end instead of StreamYard. Let's go. Third time's a charm, right? Right. You got to be a Crime Crew member. You got to support the channel, my friends. We give, we get, we give, we get, we give, we get, we give. Teresa or Teresa. Teresa is a Crime Crew member. I know that. Where are you, Teresa? Or Teresa? I don't want to say it wrong, but it is Teresa, and I know she's in the green. There she is. She's praying. I see you. There you go. All right. So do me a favor. You just won. I see you in chat. My girl Tiff, you've got that out there. Teresa or Teresa, however you say it, just won the Guilty of Crime goodie giveaway for Easter. Let me pop that back up there, and then I will share your information, Tiff, as soon as it comes through on my end. All right, there you go. Super cute. You can use it for yourself, give it away to your grandkids or whatever for an Easter basket. Super cute. There are a lot of things on the website. You should go to guiltyofcrime.com for everything else that you need. All right. Congratulations. And everybody else, thank you guys so much. Email guiltyofcrime.merch@gmail.com. I cannot pin that up there because it's not coming through. Hold on. guiltyofcrime.merch@gmail.com. I hate when StreamYard lags, but I don't want to complain. I'm not going to complain. There you go. All right, Teresa, you have 24 48 hours to claim that. Tiff, if she doesn't claim it, nobody claims it, we'll re-give it out this week. Hopefully you do, though, because I just saw you in chat a few minutes ago. Congratulations, my friend. All right, guys, we're done. That's it. That's all. I'm out of here. Love you guys, and I will be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, Friday, we're going to do a collab with Mab. All right? Collab with Mab. That's going to be fun. Love you guys. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you back tomorrow. Same place, same time. Good night and congratulations. Bye.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty?